David Andreas. Ralph, David Andreas. Ewing Jr. Rota, Rota. Rota, Rota. Ewing Jr. Flamenco, flamenco. Flamenco, flamenco. Flamenco, flamenco. Flamenco, flamenco. Flamenco, flamenco. Flamenco, flamenco.
Welcome, everybody, to this special presentation by David Ewing Jr. with Andreas Xirtus and Nachiketa. Welcome, David. We're very happy to have you, and we're most excited for your presentation today.
Thank you very much. I'll make the introduction very quick, that people will know what this is about. Now, many people have said there was giants in the past. Now it's the royal families that are ruling the world in secret that are the giants. And the humans were smaller, a large percentage of them, 400 or 500 years ago. And unfortunately, but the reality is that the aliens are these people who we call humans. Us guys, we are the aliens. They were here before us. A lot of the evidence shows, historical evidence. And we basically, the evidence seems to show we fell out of the sky through raindrops. Something was inside the water. It fell onto the ground. And we were the crazy aliens that suddenly grew by eating the mud around us. This was the mud flood. And we just came out of the floor. Now, I'll show you the date, 1453, which is strange. The so-called invasion of Rome, or what they call Constantinople, by a guy known as Sultan Muhammad. Yes, they call him Mehmet in Turkish. But after that, the world's population went up. Or the world's population didn't go up. Yes, it's almost like there's newcomers here, and now there's billions of them. Now, these newcomers, their population is going up. But when we read the Bible, we find a strange story. I'm going to make this fast. There was a guy called Moses, and then the other guy's called Moses. But they were both fighting each other. And it looks like from the story that Moses was a half-breed. Yeah, he was part of the royal family, but he was also like part of the peasants. Let my people go. Now, if anybody has watched that movie, Wakanda, what movie is it in? Wakanda, Wakanda, Wakanda? What movie is that from? Wakanda.
Black Panther.
Black Panthers, yes. So you'll see in that movie that there's a guy there. He's living amongst the humans. He's got dreads or long hair, and then he kills people, and he wants to share the technology, saying, hey, they're treating everybody else like garbage, like beasts. So he wants to share the technology, free everybody, basically start a war. And then we see that after Moses leaves with these people, he takes lots of technology and other things from various historical sources, from whatever they call Egypt or Misr or the land of misery. And then they start an invasion basically all over the world. But Moses shares this knowledge and technology with the people who are the peasants. And the word peasant comes from the word pest or best or beast. Yes, the peasants. So that's where it started from. And then after that, it didn't become global. Moses' movement failed. So along comes a guy called Jesus. And Flamenco shows that, that he starts a resistance, and he says, oh my God, we've got to continue the system of Moses. He's just an ordinary man from what it looks like. And then what we could see is that he's the father of geometry and the father of our entire civilization. And what he really did was teaching people geometry, because the people were basically naked. He was telling them, get dressed, wash yourselves, learn languages. People were like animals. Oh, there was, people were just having incest, sleeping around. They were eating mud. They were crazy. You know, like a Maze Runner. If anyone's seen part 2 Maze Runner, you'll see all these humans. They're like animals, and it's scary. So now, when we look at the symbol of Christ, they say they call him Christ, but historical evidence shows that Christ and Jesus are two different things. The word Christ comes from Christ, or in Arabic known as Quraysh, or cross in English, or Horus in ancient Egyptian, and it's the symbol of the cross. This existed before Jesus Christ. We can see it. It's in Egypt, but Egypt isn't ancient. And then Jesus's movement, what he did was he spread the Torah and a book called the Evangel, or Evangel in English. And then they went around burning these books, but these books were in the Arabic language, which is strange. And then science started to spread during the Middle Ages, the 1,000-year or reign of Christ, what they call. But these books were all in Arabic, and the so-called Jews all spoke in Arabic. Yes, so they were burning all these books, of all these science books. And along comes a guy called Muhammad in 1453, and he overthrows Rome and the Vatican. And who were the Vatican? The Vatican were the church leaders who were claiming Christ is dead. Simply, he's dead. You know what I mean? And he stormed their capital, which was Rome, and they've invented a fake Rome in Italy. But anyway, so when you look at the history, they'll say that the human, what they call, I don't mean human like human, what they call the children of Israel, or the children of Abraham, or the children of Adam, the first group of people that were here, they were, that they were the gods, that they were basically in the Kabbalah. This is in my book, Secrets of the Kabbalah, or in the book 33 Degrees, that God turned himself into a man and God is dead, that God divided himself only into them, into their bloodline. And when I've turned around and said that their religion, that Europe's religion was Islam, I was referring to them. Now, the common people, I've seen people who are messaging, but the reality is that the common people were naked or were beasts, so were not actually even here. They didn't exist. And then 1453, around that time, something happened, and then Muhammad made it global. So when you look at the word peasant, bezant, besat, beast, pest, and in the Bible, we'll go through it, that they show that there were all these beasts. Yes? And you'll see it all. And it's many people are saying, oh, David's pro-immigration, this, that, or whatever. By the way, it's the Bible that turns around and says that God has commanded for the new world, or the new world order or system, that all the races should mix together with the blood of Israel. All the beasts, the people who've just arrived in the mud and they're eating the clay. Yes, that's why the Quran says humans were made from water and from clay. It says something strange, which basically means the soil. And in my book, Mud Flood, I showed that there's this strange, huge amounts of mud that are on castle walls, or like they're broken into the castles and all these forts all over the world. Yes, and so this mud flood, it looks like, happened with the arrival of a new group of aliens. And the Quran actually says, hey, we're sending more people, replacing one group of people with another, based on, they've come here, and the Quran says the people said, hey, let us go. We want this trust. We can achieve it. I can do it. There's a war going on. And all of this is in Star Wars or Transformers, because the elite make these movies, because the movies are not made for you and me to watch, by the way, because they make these movies so that their people, the several million of them, they watch it, they enjoy it free. And then the peasants, if they want to, which I mean the common people, they'll go to cinema and watch it. But with the mud flood arrived the latest batch of humans, because we could see after 1453, the population went up, that something happened around the time of this Sultan Muhammad. And then there is another thing, we'll go through it, because people keep talking about race and everything, and it is well known that before the 1930s in America, yes, in the South, half the people were just eating the soil. They didn't even have shoes. They were half naked, Europeans, and they called it white dirt because they want to hide it. They're eating the soil and the clay. Yes, so they're lying about the story of human evolution, but they used to turn around and say, like the Irish cannibalism, I brought it up, yes, to show, because why were people living in caves and holes? Yeah, and if people believe that you've been wearing shirts and clothes for centuries, no, you haven't. They were made on machines. Yes, because this man called Muhammad, yes, changed the global order and said, no, we've got to really go out there and get everybody to learn everything so that they could learn the sacred geometry of Jesus Christ. Yes, this was the original Islam or original Christianity, and they were both from the same family. There is no evidence Muhammad is from Arabia and all these people preaching the Quran, yes, and say we know the meanings of it. It's in Arabic. No, those people were naked 100 years ago. It's in my book. What's it called? Science of the Kaaba. But the soil colors and the mud that people had affected people's skin color, of course, and other things as they came out of the mud. And that's why people were, like barbarians. And along the Mediterranean and North India and around that region is where the elites lived. And that's why they called it ancient Greece, ancient Indus, ancient Calcutta, ancient Rome, and Constantinople. And they called Northern Europe barbarians, naked. They had no clothes. They were just sleeping with anyone, no languages. We'll have to go through the language scam another time. But anyway, the elite population is stable, and they've always had technology. Like they could travel from here, where I am in England, to America within a second. They've still got this technology. The mirrors that you could see, and people are seeing in all these houses, yes, Victorian houses, there were telephones with all the gadgets. Yeah, there were telephones. You see it in the movies, Dungeons and Dragons. Then they've got something, a machine, so that they could travel just from one place to another within a millisecond, within a second. They've had this, and they're slowly bringing it out because of the revolution that, as Professor Anatoly Fomenko shows, the Prophet Muhammad basically overthrew that world order. Yes, and we could see this in Star Wars now. They're trying to establish the order of 66. 66, if you look at the Quran, is basically the symbol of Allah. And they're claiming that they're God. We'll go through this in a minute. And then, yeah, if you watch Star Wars carefully, 19 years later, the resistance starts. Yes? So the Quran tells you God's replacing all these people. And then the Quran tells you the story that God sent down baked soil or baked clay from the sky. That when you heat soil or clay, it becomes soft. And we could see the soil doesn't go up. But when we look at, if you see my book Mudflood, you'll see that a lot of this soil or mudflood is actually on the top. Then the Quran tells you that the mud buried these people, and many of these things you could actually see it, that half these cities are buried. And it tells you it's baked clay mud. But they're trying to say it's just Sodom and Gomorrah to hide it. But we could see all these mudflood cities are buried everywhere. Then the Quran challenges you and says, go out. You're living in these cities. Go out and see it. You'll find it yourself. But anyway, so they're making all these movies, and they know this history. That's why it's in these movies: Star Wars, the royal family, Princess Leia, yes, Darth Vader, and the new one, The Force Awakens, just a few years ago, the son of Harrison Ford, yes, and Leia, it's the royal family who's fighting, yes. And so they say God is dead. Yeah, this is in my book, 33 Degrees. And for example, we have cats and dogs as pets. Yes, if they get out of control, we call them pests or beasts or beasts. We have them for our enjoyment. So now they're allowing a certain amount of people to live, control them, control the population, and they've kept you busy to forget your mission. Or basically, when you die, you're going to the other side, and you'll realize have you accomplished the mission or not. Yes. And the Bible doesn't tell this story. The story is in Star Wars, and it's in the Quran, and it's in Transformers, a similar story. Their leader wants Earth, and he refused humans to master this Earth. Yes, and he refused it. So this story is in the Quran, and it says that their leader is called Satan, basically. Yeah, the Bible doesn't mention any of this. It's shocking. Yes, so this war that we see in Star Wars is in the Quran. So I'm not saying the Quran is the word of God. I found many problems with this book, and in fact, I found that Islam it can be aggressive. The 5% of people, these preachers, you see it in the comments. It's like they're trying to push this religion on you. Yeah, almost like no, you got to believe, you got to whatever. No, you don't. There's different ways. Even the Quran itself says that God has given different ways to different people. Yes, and so the book can be dangerous, same like the Bible was dangerous, and it still can be. Yes, But also, if the Quran is seen from dictionaries and paper, it's a joke because nobody speaks this Arabic language. That's why I recommended people to go to the mosques for the basic simple translation. Anyway, we'll go through the evidence. Even right now, millions of people are eating mud and clay. Yes, and unfortunately, there's a lot of cannibalism in Latin America, in Africa, in South Asia, and many other things. It's still continuing. But anyway, the fake languages, the fake history, it starts in the Renaissance or 1453. Yes, when this Sultan Mohammed, whoever he was, yeah, came from Germany. He's not a Turk. This is just a scam. He came from Germany, from the Holy Roman Empire. He was from the children of Israel. He was royal blood. And then, the cross, yeah, it's a very beautiful symbol. It's very beautiful. And I've seen Muslims and Quranists especially, yeah, they want to disgrace it or something. But even the truth is, even their Quran, yes, it turns around and says that the verse of God's throne is called the verse of the Kursi or Kursi, the cross. That God's throne is actually the cross. This is why when people prayed in churches originally, original Christianity, they formed the cross to show that they've approached the throne of God. It's a beautiful symbol. If you do it, don't stop it. Yeah, because it's a beautiful symbol. If you don't like it, don't do it. Yeah, but don't listen to these Islamist preachers or anything. Yeah, I'm saying it because I talk about history. I've noticed comments from these Islamists and Quranists, and it's almost like they're thinking their way is the only way. No. Well, anyway, so the cross represents the throne of God. And in sacred geometry, you'll find this. And so when you make the symbol of the cross, you've approached the gateway to God's throne. And that's when you pray. It's like you're saluting God with respect. And we'll go through it. There's two poles, the North Pole and the South Pole. And this is on many of the coats of armor. The double cross, which is the double cube, yeah, which we can see, yeah, in the first picture. We'll bring it up in a minute. And then the double cross represents one. If we say it in Arabic, yeah, it's Aqsa or Mecca. Or if we say it in English, the double cross represents Jerusalem and the Holy Tabernacle of Israel. Now, Jerusalem is, they've chosen it today to be the current Jerusalem. Unfortunately, there's fighting there. They want to build a beautiful temple there. But there's problems with that. We'll go through that in a minute. And the Holy Tabernacle of Israel is actually Mecca. And of course, if anybody wants to know more about this, Didier Lacapelle will explain it. Don't listen to these Islamists and Quranists who are going to say, no, it's not the Tabernacle of Israel. Yes, it's a vagina stone or something or whatever. Andreas, when you travel, have you ever filled in a visa application form?
Yeah. Several times I've had to do this.
Yeah, of course. When you're writing, what do you use
A
to
black
write?
pen.
You use a pen. Okay, I could be superstitious and say, no, it was a pen is. Yes. So in the same way, they're turning around and saying that the Holy Tabernacle of Israel, which has the Ten Commandments, people are just being superstitious and making things up. But geometry is geometry. It's not superstition. It's education. Yes. And Jesus Christ, yeah, he was the father of geometry. Yes, and he taught people geometry because people were living in holes. They didn't even know how to build a house. It's like when you learn a square, you could build a house or a rectangle. Of course, many people are going to say, like, the temple that the Christians and the Jews want to build in Jerusalem will be a square or a rectangle. And but they'll say, oh no, that will be, oh, it's the cube of Satan. Oh, they already got one in Mecca. By the way, you're sleeping in a cube or a rectangle. That means you're living in the cube of Satan. No, you're not. It's just geometry. Yes, and Jesus Christ taught people education. That was love, so that they could improve their lives. Yes, and that was to do with feeding of the 5,000 and other things. And anyway, the new arrivals. We'll go through that in a minute. And I asked many rabbis, and they said to me, David, your soul came from the stars. Yes. And I said, oh, really? And they said, hey, there's many stories of it. And they turn around and say it came down with the water. The water fell down on the ground at the mud or the soil. And this was the original thing. And that's why people look to astrology. They try to figure out what date did you land here? What date did you arrive? what date did the pregnancy start, or what date did you come out of the stomach. Astrology, then they try to calculate many things because they're trying to figure things out. Yes. Another thing, when I turned around and said Europe was Christian, the Bible and the Quran is their history, not yours. You were the beasts. Yes, you were the peasants. They didn't care about you. You people didn't even have languages or anything. You were the aliens and you were the animals that landed. And before the current group of aliens landed, or the current humans who are here, there was already many beasts or people who came before, but they kept them as peasants or pests, yes, as slaves. And these people think they are God because God is dead, because God became man. Yeah, God became Adam Kadmon, and then man was created in Adam Kadmon's image. This is what they say. And God divided himself in their blood. Only they are God, or only they are Allah, or only they are the 33rd degree. Yes, and so they refused to recognize that they were created. Many of them, half of them, are on the other side that follow Christ, Muhammad, and Moses. But there's the side that they think, no, we are the royal blood, royal Christianity, or royal Judah. That's where we get the name the Jedi army from. Yes, the Jedi Knights, and some of them were good and some of them were corrupted. And that's why they say, may the force be with you. Yes, same like the Muslims say, may the peace of Allah be upon you, or the Jews say, may the peace of God be upon you, or shalom be upon you. Yes, any questions before we start going through the images? Nachiketa, Andreas, Raphael?
No, I'm good. Continue, please.
What about you, Raphael, Andreas?
Yeah, no, I'm happy.
We'll let you go on. Thank you, David.
Yes. Well, the mud flood, this is the reality of what the mud flood is. Yeah, and let's start with the images to go through the sacred geometry and some historical facts from the Bible, and we'll examine it. Yes. Go ahead with the images, Raphael. It's supposed to be the first picture of the Kabbalah tree of life. Yes. So now here we have before us, this is the Kabbalah tree of life. And you will notice that the circles, and then there is the earth at the bottom. Yes. And then there is the two hexagons. This is the double cube. And then there is the top, there is three poles. Now these three poles, they say is the Trinity, and from there they invented the story of the crucifixion, or the fictional story. The three people died on those three poles, and then the central pole had Jesus Christ. And so the central pole, if anybody reads my books, Secrets of Kabbalah and 33 Degrees, they'll understand why Jesus is at the top and why Peter got crucified upside down. Now, the top of the central pole is the North Pole, and just before the Earth, the bottom is the South Pole. Yes, and this is the double cross that we'll see in Christianity. Yes, and at the bottom is the Earth, and then when we look at the third picture of this first one, don't change it. You'll notice there's a question mark. If everybody could see it, this is where they say is death, and they say that this is the one that landed on Earth, which destroyed the original paradise that God created, or heaven that people lived in when man fell on Earth. And they say this is why Jesus died in that position known as death. But that is so there's two positions where they say is the question mark, they say, is the cross or the kursi in Arabic, the verse of the kursi or the cross. Yes, this is the cross of God. And then the number 6 is where the Kaaba is, or the holy tabernacle of Moses. Now this is that. Now let's go to the next picture. Smart cities.
Raf, you dude, I'm trying to figure out how to make it switch pages quicker for some reason.
Ah, yes. Okay, now. So they've had technology for ages. If you think that there's people out there that there are people who are improving technology and they make small discoveries, but the reality is They've had technology for centuries. The new arrivals have come, and they found a difficulty because of the war that started after the collapse of the Vatican, or the Pharisees who were based in Rome or Constantinople. And so they're going to say we need smart cities. Yes, then go on to the next image. And so what they're going to need is microchips. Yes, the next image, imagining the future, enabling technology. So they're going to need microchips, and everybody is going to have microchips and microprocessors, and you will only know the information that they want you to know, the only history that they want you to know. If you read the Bible or the Vedas or the Quran, you will only know the translations they want you to know. They wrote the dictionaries. So they're going to do this, and only the number of people that they want to live, because they feel that you will be a service to them. Same like if our cat has 5 cats or something, gives birth to them, we decide if we want to keep 5 or not. We decide on the population control. So that's who the children of Israel is, or the royal family, or royal Christianity. Yes, and go on to the next one. Yes, so smart cities, this is very important. This is to do with the temple, or the cross, or the kursi. Yes, this is to do with the temple of Jerusalem. In the future, they are going to detect. Look for it, Tom Cruise. You'll find the 19 code there. Same like 19 years later, they started the resistance. And what will have all this technology, but it's not that. Yes, there is a plan to bring God down to. And many people will say, oh, no, that's not possible. When I say God down, I'll go through it in a minute. It's because, for example, the Quran says you can communicate with God. Yes, behind a curtain, or, in Arabic, they say hijab, or like a curtain, so that not a white colored one, it has to be black, not a see-through one, basically, or, you could say dark purple. But go on to the next page, and then you'll see that they're going to use artificial intelligence to predict the future, to predict the crimes. Yes, so they will communicate with something called artificial intelligence, and they're going to say that that is connected to God. So even if you haven't done a crime, they're going to say, no, we know you are going to do the crime. Yes, and you will notice if you watch Tom Cruise Minority Report, they call it the temple. Yes, you should watch it. And then there's three humans there, or who communicate with the life force or with God. Yes, and only one person out of the whole world, who's the high priest, will be able to talk to this God or whatever in the Trinity or something. They call it Agatha, or Goth, or God. So her name is Agatha. So if anybody watches it, but the thing is, it can be a scam. And even if God says it's not from God, yes, they'll just invent it, and they will be able to establish their global system. Now, half the people in the royal family agree with this, half the people don't. So it depends on human behavior now. If humans are good, if we don't murder, kill, be racist, attack people, cause problems for no reason, there is no need for these systems if people are civilized. So that's how half the royal family or the elite see it. And the other half see it as oh no, we can't trust them because they're beasts, they're animals, they don't have the royal blood. Yeah, and the royal blood is because they came here earlier, they've got the technology and the information that God gave to people like King David and other people. This story is not in the Bible, it's in the Quran, where it says King David and Solomon, they had all this technology before. So go to the next one. It says how smart tech will help real-time data, yes, prevent crime. So they're already saying it's reducing it, but in the future it will be. Same like Tom Cruise Minority Report. Yes, and so now we're going to go through this, and the next page, if anybody wants, pick Nachiketa, Raphael, Andreas. You could read this yourself, one of you guys.
Bones, irrefutable evidence that ancient Britons were cannibals, says Dr. Horton, independent.
Yes. Yeah, there's so many bones, thousands of bones, and you'll find teeth marks and everything. But they're going to say, "Oh no, that was 1,000 years ago." before the Romans came. But the reality is it was more recent. Yes, it was more recent because they've invented the timeline to hide the mud flood. And then go on to the next one. You'll see that, when they were sending people to Australia, this 19 is important. And so you could read this one of you guys.
Okay, the 19 crimes turned convicts into colonists upon the conviction. British rogues guilty of at least one of the 19 crimes were sentenced to live in Australia.
Yeah, basically, go on the next page. They've even invented a wine brand in Australia to remind people, hey, you came here because you were criminals, because you messed with number 19. You messed around with it. And nobody warns you about 19. The Quran says that the number 19 is the Sakar or the sacred or the Sakar core. And the people who know the secret understand this. It's the secret. Yes? So of course, go to the next page. You'll see here is a school in London. Yes, and so many people think they're English. They kidnap these people from many places throughout Europe. Yeah, no one knows who their parents are, but they brought them. They gave them clothes. Many of them were half naked. They didn't know anything. They gave them a language. Yes, and so now when you go to the next page, what you'll notice is that I'll say that very quick. Yes, half the people in America and everywhere else throughout Europe, they didn't even have shoes 100 years ago. People didn't even think of wearing shoes. They started wearing clothes because they kidnapped children, forced them to work in factories, make cotton, and make the wool to weave faster in many places because only the elite had clothes. And so after the 18th, 19th century, they kidnapped the children. Then of course people will think, oh, it was a Rockefeller conspiracy to sell shoes. No, the people were naked. They didn't know what money was. They didn't even have a language. Many of them just a few words. What they did was they did everything to make people wear clothes, footwear. People didn't even wear shoes. Yeah, it was so bad. Yeah, that people used to walk on their own shit. They used to have a shit on the floor. Many people were still eating the mud, even when they came from Europe and Ireland and England and Scotland when they went to the Americas. Yes, this is the reality. They called it white dirt. They're trying to hide it. Now, on the next page, here is a picture. This family won a competition. And as you will see, yes, if you look through the picture carefully, you could see that the woman is clearly what you would call Middle Eastern or Latino. And then how many children did they have got? That's a large family. I'm not sure if it's all their children or something, but they didn't wear clothes. They won a competition for something to do with that. They were eating, just soil, clay, and they survived. Look, that's what they were eating, and they won some competition for shoes or something. Yeah, it's on the next page. Let's see. Ah, yeah, there were celebrities from Alabama. Yes, hookworm disease. They just gave it strange names so that nobody will study it. Basically, people didn't even have shoes. This was part of the revolution of Muhammad that continued it, and Muhammad just continued the revolution of Christ, who continued the revolution of Moses. Thou shalt have no other God before God. You should not worship these people who were the elite, who were claiming to be gods. Yes. So, and then they say, which were, and they got these diseases because they're walking on the shit. They're even eating the shit that they had a shit and they're eating it, and they called it strange name, geophagia or something, clay eating or something, because that's what the people were eating. This is the real history, unfortunately. Yes. So, and you're going to tell me these people, you people in the United States, oh no, our ancestors were Christian. Our ancestors were this and that. They arrived from Europe. They were given clothes. Europe was something else. Yes. And even the King of Germany, Kaiser William II, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, even he was known as the Caliph of Islam. But that's another long story. Yes, going on to the next page, we could see that people didn't even have shoes. If you think these people produced the cotton, these people they don't know how to manufacture the cotton. They didn't know anything. It was made in the machines because the royal families and the elite, who you call the real children of Israel, or the real Jews, the real illuminated ones, or Jews, or Guido, or guided ones. Yes, and they had the machinery. Then Muhammad turned around and said, "No, we've got to make this global." It was Moses' idea, from what we could see. Before him, Abraham had a bit of a rebellion. So that's who these so-called prophets were. And as we go on to the next page, yeah, you'll find all these pictures. The people didn't have clothes; they were given these clothes, and it wasn't a vampire. People were eating each other. And then go on the next page. You'll see people in America who are going to say we were Irish. Oh yeah. Oh, you really came from Ireland? There's all these orphans. No one knows where they came from. They told you were Irish. Pittsburgh. So now today in Pittsburgh, there's an Irish community, and they're going to say we're Irish. Go to the next page. Have a look. They're teaching them a language, teaching them English. No one knows where they came from. That's why the people at the top. That's where the words come from. Unfortunately, beasts, pests, basts or bastards, unfortunately. That's what they invented these languages. They know these languages. They gave these names. And then we learned these languages. We learned the bad language from them. And we've been given the meanings. We've been given the histories. We've been given the dictionaries. So all these people who are presenting the Bible to me or the Quran to me, trying to convert me to Islam or Christianity, sorry, I'm not having it. Yes, of course, there is the historical element there. Everybody can make up their own mind. I am just going through history, same like Professor Fomenko. And as we can see, these people are not Irish. We don't know where they really came from. They told them your ancestors were Irish. That's another. But we do know many people did come from Ireland. But how did they get to Ireland? Now, here is the next page. Yeah, on the next page, we see thousands of children that were sent, to Canada. Yes, and so the thing is, yeah, as you can see, the people are wearing hijab, and somebody said hijab is not an Arabic word. That's where the French word chapeau comes from. Chapeau, cap, or the Slavic word. Yeah, now they've divided the Slavic languages, but the Slavic word is shiapa. Yes, so hishiapa. Yes, so the thing is, the Arabs couldn't speak Arabic. Yes, and the original Arabic was in Europe, and we could see in the Latin languages it's chapeau or chiapa in the East. Yes, so shap, hishab. Yes, and then the word from chapeau comes capo, cap. So they changed it to a cap or covering. But the original system of the children of Israel and the elite was Islam. Then they divided, and at the top they're probably still Muslims. Yes, half of them, and half of them believe that they're actually God. But the thing is, they've left the people at the bottom. You fight it amongst yourselves until we bring in the new world order. Yes, to totally control you and whatever. But unfortunately, so there's people who are talking about racism. Go on to the next page. There's about 500,000 people. It's a sad story. 500,000 people living like this in South Africa and the neighboring countries, European origin people. Yeah, 500,000 living like this. But one is to remember, somebody is turning around and saying that in Holland, in Belgium, in Luxembourg, in Denmark, in that region, yeah, why have they got about 3 million people from Africa anyway? Yes, even if they're from North Africa, I'm not talking about the Middle East, I'm talking about Moroccans, Algerians, Tunisians, and Senegal, and the darker Africans, everything. There's about 3-4 million of them. Yeah, well, there's 5 or 6 million Europeans living in Africa. So I'm not going to accept any racism. Yeah, because we've seen what racism does. Unfortunately, it causes wars, and there's people that need help. Even in South Africa, it's not a question of color, and unfortunately, it's very bad. The scenario: many people, children don't have shoes, they don't have proper sanitation and proper facilities, and so if anybody wants to do charity based on color, yeah, you could go to South Africa. Yeah, but don't choose because of color. Yeah, I'm saying, people need help. I'll bring up the South African story another day. They betrayed the empire, or the order of the empire. The new order in Star Wars is called Order 66. So these people in South Africa, they refused to fight for England. Yes, in World War I and II. Look at the results. Yes. But anyway, now have a look at the next page, Minority Report. Yes. So they call it there. This is going to be the Temple of Jerusalem. And many people, they don't understand. Soon, the Americans, they want to get hold of Mecca. If they get hold of Mecca and Jerusalem, they're going to build the temple. And from this temple, they're going to say, we're speaking to God. And we have pre-crime, we have precognitive things. And God has told us the whole world has to obey the dictatorship. Yes. And another thing, many people are sick of immigrants. Yes. The thing is, if these wars spread, yes, they've just done it to Gaza. If they keep on spreading, it just means more immigrants are coming to Europe and America, or they would like that because they want to bring them here for re-education and also to reduce their population, because people who ever come here have a lower birth rate. That's another thing. Yes, so that's why I've always told people, stop your hate and stop thinking, yeah, this is so good, they're getting these desert rats or Arabs. No, it's because and they're already spreading propaganda saying, oh, the Israelites used to live in Saudi Arabia and Muhammad killed them all and he stole it. God, the place was a desert. There was no one there 150 years ago. Yeah, just a tent there with a tabernacle. Yes, 150, 200 years ago. And then they're saying the city of Medina. Look for these videos online. They're preparing this history in the last 30 years, preparing you for a war for the next 50 years. Migrants, 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 more of them coming. Poor people from the desert. Oh, they're getting attacked with our guns. But they're, on your side, well, you can't speak because they're going to have pre-crime because they've built a temple and they're going to seize Mecca. And then Mecca is going to be whereby they've spoken to God. Same like Darth Vader speaks to the dark force. Harrison Ford's son, I forgot, speaks to that dark leader. I forgot what his son's name is in The Force Awakens. Yes, and these things. But you know, you people are going to let this happen if you allow this. But anyway, the next page, Minority Report. So you could read this. Anybody? The
Okay,
world
well,
premiere?
yeah. Minority Report world premiere took place in New York City on June 19, 2002, and online popcorn
Yeah, there you go.
and
You've got it.
broadcast
You
live.
basically
Yeah, okay.
understand. Yeah, this is to show the temple of God. Yes, and they released it on June the 19th because they understand these things. Now the next page, it shows the same thing. Wikipedia, people could check it. June the 19th. This was when it premiered. Yes, and so things like this. And go on the next page. Minority Report. Yes, resembles AI. It's basically AI, and A, you calculate A is the letter 1. I is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. It's the number 9. Minority Report is actually AI, or it's 19. And nobody warned you about this 19. Nobody. Unfortunately, not the Bible, but this Quran tells you, hey, this is the secret, or the sakar in Arabic, or this is the sacred secret. And it says those who are not going to believe it or understand it, they're going to say, oh, what's this? What is this secret? Yes, and those who will understand it will wake up and think, that's it, I've understood why I'm alive, what's going on, I've understood everything. Now I understand the message from God. I've woke up, I've basically remembered everything. Yes, so now the next page. So here is the Minority Report, and as you can see, here is where the precogs are inside the temple of God. Yes, and it's like a square room with a circle. Yes, or squaring the circle, and it's the Trinity, or 3 of them. That's they are like God's voice comes through them, and God's voice is through the female, and the female name is Agatha, and she keeps saying, "Can you see?" Yes, Agatha, or Gotha, or Goth in German, Gott. Yes, or God. Yes, and the thing is, it's female. That's why they say God Moses married God and had sexual relations with God herself. This is what it says in the Kabbalah. And so in these movies, they made these movies because they understand it. It's because it's their history. Yes. And so the thing is, many people are saying, I've seen sign symbols. Yeah, but you're not going to understand if you don't see the wider thing. Unfortunately, all these movies, none of them are described in the Bible. They're all in the Quran. That's where I found it. I'm not preaching here. That's why I basically told everyone, know what the Quran is and Islam is. Go and study it yourself. You want to know the meanings online. The translations have 10% errors. The dictionaries are fake. Yes. So just go to a mosque and ask an expert who knows the oral Quran, because I've checked and I put it in my book, 33 Degrees. Yes, Raphael, you've read 33 Degrees, and can you confirm it or not? You've seen through the evidence. Is the oral Quran, is it the same as the written manuscripts, or are the written manuscripts forgeries? What would you say?
It is not the same.
Yes, it's not the same. They're forgeries. That's why I'm not asking you to convert. Same like if I want to know the Bible and know some secrets, yes, I could read the Bible. But if I want an insight and a bit of a faster thing, I'll go and meet a cardinal. Yes, if I want to know the Bible and some of the secrets, yeah, I'll go and meet a grand rabbi. That's what I've done in the past. And so it's like I'll go and say, hey, I found this, I found that, and I've been doing this for years. That's the best way. So go to the mosques where people have the oral Quran. It's totally different. But anyway, as you can see, so Agatha is basically the god, and the thing is, in this film they show it, but it's like there's two sides at war amongst the elite. So Agatha is the pure divine being, or she's basically God. Yes, she's divine, etc. So the precog, this is on the next page. It goes through it. People could pause it in their own time and they could read it. And she's like parts machine, parts superhuman, or whatever. And that's the purpose of transhumanism and things like this for those who they want to choose to live longer. And the evidence shows that these people, that they know all the foods, the best qualities, all the best medicines. They could live longer and grow taller and other things. They've got better abilities because they know all the languages, they know all the software, they've got other things that many people have said. These royal families and these royal people, that they look similar, like David Bowie looks like one of the princes. I think it's in the Dutch family, royal family or something, and other things like that, like them, and many of their people. They have multiple dual lives and they use different names. Yeah, and amongst the wealthy. But even if you become wealthy, many of the millionaires and billionaires, I've met them, and I'm telling you, even they don't know what's going on. There's people above them, and these people are the original families, the children of Noah, or the people who survived the flood, and the children of Israel. These families that are mentioned in the Bible and the Quran. Yes, and so when we go on here on the next page, somebody could read it starting from between 1984 and Steven Spielberg, who made Minority Report and Back to the Future and all these things where you can see the symbol of 9/11. Yes, go on.
Between 1984 and 1990, Spielberg served as producer or executive producer on 19 feature films for his production company.
Yes, so as you can see, they all know. And that doesn't mean that Spielberg is from this royal Christian blood or royal Jewish blood or royal Islamic blood. Yes, all it means is that he could be, or he's working for them. You see, or there's other people working for them, and he's just the public image, the public front, because they know. Yes, and of course, many people are already questioning, why does David know? Why do you know? Aha, that's my secret. Yes, well, anyway, yes, so let's go on to another thing. So there's these famous films, like Jet Li. Yeah, it doesn't matter which side of the world you're from. Hero Ying Shonga. I love that name. When I'm in China, people say Ni Duming Zishima. What's your name? I say Waduming Zi Ying Shonga. Ying Shong. Yeah, Hero. I like it. Yes, so there's this film, Jet Li, called Hero. It's proper famous, and if people could read it. The 20th style, this is how to save the world. And so this is what they discover, that the elite royal family turn around and explain the secret or the sacred, saying this is going to save the world. The 20th style?
The 20th style, that broken sword derives from 19 possible styles. Whatever this means, please explain.
Yes. Yeah, basically, it's the writing to show human unity and everything, and that it's just a scam. The racism and the nationalities. I mean, we've just seen the wars in Armenia. 100,000 people left their homes. Yes, unfortunately, and they're saying the war was caused by the Turks and the Azerbaijanis. Yes, but they're going to say 20 years ago, yes, 1 million people got thrown out of their homes, 1 million people, and they're going to say the Russians caused that with the Armenians. It's not a question of 100,000 or 1 million. It's just as bad. Yes, and the thing is, oh yeah, these refugees and everything, oh, they're going to end up in Europe. I mean, so we've got to stop these wars. They're just going to end up in Europe and America. Yes, and many people are already racist. They're going to say, oh, Armenians, they look like Iraqis. Yeah, because they're dark skin color. Yeah, so unfortunately, the racism, yeah, you've got to get rid of it. And so that movie, that shows it, that movie is showing part of the Quran side of the history mixed with the others. But the next page shows which movie that is. It's Hero, Jet Li. This was one of his major films. So you'll find these codes there, everything. But back to Minority Report on the next page. Yes, so remember zero means nothing and you leave it out. So then the precogs and everything, and then Tom Cruise becomes, it's like he's just found out that he's going to be the murderer according to God, or this divine Agatha or Gotha. Yes, and his case is case number what? Don't say the zero. Somebody could read the number out.
It is case 119. Pre-visualized by the
Yes, or
precog
basically
recorder
911.
on holosphere. Yes, 119. Yes.
Yeah, it's basically 911. Yes, and if anybody wants to understand 9/11 or 119, yeah, this is in my book Science of the Kaaba. It explains more about the Kabbalah tree of life, and so the next page shows that this is when Tom Cruise turns around and realizes that this temple of God, or what they want to build in Jerusalem, it's a warning about this temple. Basically, it's a scam. Yes, and the thing is, it's like that. So, and then there is another thing. You will notice that I've sent two pictures. Yes, in the first picture, it shows that the door number is 1006. So they want you to notice this. Ignore the zeros because in gematria it means room 16. So then go on to the next picture, and then the room number he finds is, the room number is actually what room number?
19.
Yes. So you see, and then he goes to that room number, but he's looking for John Anderton, the person who he's supposed to kill. The next picture. So many people don't notice all these numbers. So the main number is he should go there. And John Anderton lives in what room number, excluding the zero?
Well, 11-9 or 9/11 or however you want to say it.
Yes, 9/11 or 119, as you could see. So now the next page, yeah, you could go through all the coats of arms of the house of Judah and the house of Noah and the house of Abraham and the house of Adam. The people who came afterwards were called beasts and things like this. So there is the children of Adam. They don't see you as the children of Adam. So many people are saying in the Bible, oh, the beasts are the non-whites. You're dreaming. Yes, that's why they turned around and said, or the whites who were in England were cannibals, or Northern Europe, they were barbarians, they were naked. Yes, it's because they wrote this history, and the thing is, they made the machines, they made sure that you got dressed, you learned languages, but these are the coats of arms. You can all see the double cross. Now, this double cross is the central layer of the Kabbalah tree of life. Yes, and the top is the North Pole, the bottom is the South Pole. But the truth is that if you look at all the maps before the Renaissance, uh, um, all the maps in Europe, the maps were upside down. So magnetic north is the South Pole and magnetic south is the North Pole. We don't know what's in both those places. Yeah, they're lying about those two places, but the magnetic North Pole is pointing to the star. Yes, the star's going around the northern pole in the sky and the southern pole in the sky, and then the two crosses in the middle are supposed to represent, and one of them represents Jerusalem or the cross of Christ, and the bottom one represents uh, um, the tabernacle of Moses or Mecca. Yes, or Al-Aqsa is the top one, depending, upside down or wherever. So this was the double cross. You can see it throughout Europe. Here is Vladislav of Poland, Lithuania, Belarus, Lithuanian Air Force. They do different designs, but they know what this meaning is. And anybody who understands sacred geometry will understand this straight away. The book I've written is called Science of the Kaaba, but if you understand that, then this is the next part. My next book this year will be called The Sign of the Cross. Yes, and here the next picture shows the Hungarian one. This is very important. You'll notice the double cross there. They decorated in different ways. But notice that there's above the crown. Yes, the crown for the human man. Yes, to show that this is in the sky. That's why the Quran, when it says above, it is 19. So it says above the secret or the sacred or the sacred, there is 19, the Quran says. But also when you look in the sky, yes, there is 19. Above you, there is 19. This is explained, yes, in my book 33 Degrees. And notice at the top of the Quran, right at the top, there's a cross. But that cross is actually a square cross. Many people don't realize that. That is the cross or the kursi. And the word cross is actually Arabic. It's kursi, yes. And then that's why you find it in the Egyptian dialect as Horus or Horus, or in the Greek dialect as chorus, or that's where the word chorus comes from, where you sing, or choir, and all these things, or the core of your heart. But anyway, the main thing about the cross or the kursi, this is the seat of God. So the person who wears the crown, he's wearing the crown or the Quran, yes, and this is the corona or the Quran, and that's why they knew after 19, they understood the sacred secret. They had to close the world after 2019. They knew why. If you understand this, yes, if you understand the 33 degrees and the science of the Kaaba, you will understand why. That I've told you, Raphael, in private, that if I was the leader of the United Nations, I would have closed the world as well after 2019, because there are certain things that I understand from sacred geometry that I was terrified. But anyway, going on to the next picture, yeah, it just shows the cross bigger. So the cross is actually above you in the sky, and then the round thing that you find in these coat of arms, they put it there. That's basically, you could call it the dome if you want, or the sky. Yes, and so the cross is the seed of God. Yes, the cruci. And nobody tells you that the korosi is the seat of God. This only the Quran tells you. Only the Quran, yes, but some people have figured it out. The next page shows the double cross again, and you'll find the next page double cross. The page after that, I'm showing examples of medieval paintings that people will see the original cross. This is a Chronicon Pictum. The next page shows the cross bigger. It's the double cross, and below that is the earth, which is the Kabbalah tree of life, and that humans have fallen on earth. Yes. And so the next page, you'll see that on many of these things, that many of these kings, and you're going to imagine they were Christian. They were not Christians. This is to represent the Kabbalah tree of life and the double cross or the double cube that's at Mecca and at Jerusalem, that represents the northern pole and the southern pole in the sky. The poles that the stars go around, yes, that if you're at the South Pole and the North Pole, the two temples of God. And they're far away from each other, and nobody mentions this. The Quran says the other one's the farthest mosque. It calls them the mosque or something, the place that you pray or something. And then they have earthly representations, but you could change the locations of the earthly representations. Yes, and the next page shows more of the double cross. The last page, don't go back, but I'll show you. One is from Königsfelden Monastery, the other one's from King Bela of Hungary. On this page is Louis the Great of France, the coat of arms, and King Sigismund of Luxembourg. These were the children of Israel. They've given you fake dates, fake history, and you are going to imagine they were Christians. That's not the cross of Christ. That's the cross or the kursi or the Reich or the Rosh, or the Reich means the seed of the Reichstag, or it says the Arsh in the Quran. The Quran gives you the meaning of the cross and the Reich. Nobody else mentions this. Yeah, I wouldn't have known if I didn't come across the Quran. So here now there is more. The next page shows that you'll find the double cross, throughout Europe, in Central Europe, Hungary, Austro-Hungary, things like this. Yes, the next page here, you can see the double cross that they were used throughout Austria, Galicia, Silesia, Croatia, Hungary, everything, because these people know. And then you'll notice the star and the moon. This is on the Croatian flag. Also, you'll coat of arms. You'll find there is a star in the moon, because the moon represents the moon, the star represents the sun. But the double cross is supposed to be God's two seats. Yes, the furthest mosques. You don't want to call them mosques, call them churches. Fine. Yes, I'm not here to argue. I'll call them temples. Yes, and they're represented geometrically. Yes, by the northern star stellar pole and the southern stellar pole. That's how we represent it. And so they knew these things. And so somebody's going to say, look, they were Christians. Oh, by the way, the normal somebodies and the normal people were basically naked peasants, couldn't even speak. Yeah, you watch these films of the Middle Ages that they're showing people with clothes. No, those people lived outside these small city walls. Yes, because the thing is, they were like animals. They were like killers. Unfortunately, people couldn't speak. They were crazy, like Maze Runner. You know, people should watch Maze Runner Part 2. And it's so crazy that you would have been scared. So these people, they always went out with swords, and the swords had electrical weapons and all these other things with them. Yeah. I'm telling you these things, soon you'll figure it out. Yes. And so the thing is, these types of stories are not mentioned in the Bible. They're in the Quran. Best is just to go and ask, go to a mosque and see it there, or read it in my book, Science of the Kaaba. Yes. And on the next page, yeah, it shows the coat of arms. Yes, of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Yes, which they used, etc. To include many things, and it's basically the same thing: the double cross and the the cube cross, equilateral cross on all four sides on the top to represent the cross or the kursi of God's throne. This is nothing to do with Christ. Jesus and Christ are two separate words. On the next page, I've gone through a bit more so that people could see it's all over Europe. Yes, the elites who are not genetically related to you. You don't even know what color they are. They could be blue or green, because there's blue soils and green soils. Yes, Slovakia. Yes, and you could see, yeah, that's another country. So Czech Republic and Slovakia, that's Bohemia. On the next page, for France, Brittany, and where it came into double cross. There is the double cross on the English flag. You have two crosses. One's in white, one's in red. And the white one represents Mecca, the red one or the tabernacle of Moses, and the red one represents, yes, and so here was the French cross, the cross of Lorraine, and as you can see, it's a double cross. You could do it in different designs. You wish they modified them as they went. And so on the next page of the elite families. Yes. So when Victor Hugo did it, because half these people, the rest of the people were peasants, and they wore jewelry because they knew what the symbols of God were: the double cross of the throne, yes, of the cross, or the kursi, or the Reich, or the Arsh, yes, of God. So that's why they wore it, and that's why the cross is a beautiful symbol. It represents the seat, or the kuds, or the kursi. Kursi also, or kudsi also means chair in original Arabic, in Spanish and Latin languages. In many of them you'll find. So cross or kursi. I'll go through that in a minute. In fact, the evidence. The next one magnifies it so that people could see the double cross. Yes. The next page, it magnifies it. But go on to the next page. So you can see the symbol of France. Yes, it was basically the double cross. Yes, because they knew what this meant. Yes, and the bottom one looks expanded. There's a long meaning to that. It's because the bottom one is established, which is at Mecca. And as you will see, for lifeboats and other symbols, the next page shows, and for sailing and other things, the double cross, you'll see they put it here. This is a French memorial, things like this. So the double cross, all these, they're beautiful symbols. And so now going on to the next page, here is the Latin cross. And the Latin cross, you'll hold it with your hand. So it's basically the top half of the cross, which is supposed to be equilateral. Yes, and they say that Peter was upside down and things like this, so the double cross, etc. They made up a false history, etc. But the thing is, and if Peter was executed at the bottom, yes, so on the double cross, somebody will think that means Mecca is at the south. But don't forget, south was north in them days and north was south. That means Peter's execution, yes, would represent the one that's in Jerusalem, and Christ's execution would represent Mecca, etc. Yeah, these are longer stories. Once you understand sacred geometry, you'll understand it. So here we could see, the cross of Christianity. Here is a cross that's the next page. Yeah, here is a cross that they've got in Pakistan, and so there's many Christians there. And the thing is, what they're saying is Jesus was sacrificed upon the cross or the seat. The seat. So now the next page shows the layout of churches or many of the buildings, the sacred geometry. Yes, that they look like crosses or basically a cube that's opened. That's a long story. Yes, that's in my book, Science of the Kaaba, to understand that. But the cross is very important. And so the next page shows many of our important churches, cathedrals. I've just listed, they've listed the famous ones: St. Peter's Basilica, Chartres Cathedral, Siena Cathedral, Cologne Cathedral, Notre Dame, Florence Cathedral. All the main ones are in the shape of this cross, the way they're built out. Yes, and so the next page shows, old St. Peter's Basilica. We can see plans of it, and they're beautiful, amazing buildings. So the cross and geometry, if we don't understand geometry, if anyone goes back to the last page, they want to have a look, you're not going to be able to construct these things. How do you think they built skyscrapers? Yeah, many of the rooms are in cubes. Oh no, it's the cube of Satan. My office is a cube. Oh no, I'm giving orders. They're living inside, these managing directors are, giving orders from their cube office. Get real. Sacred geometry is just geometry. Look at these amazing cathedrals in the shapes of crosses. Chartres Cathedral. So the next page shows Chartres Cathedral. Yes. So I've got a few cathedrals here for people to look at. The next page shows Cologne. It's very beautiful. Yeah, so many people are wondering the sacred geometry from Jesus Christ. The next page is Notre Dame. These buildings are so amazing, and the sacred geometry is to do with science. Now we're building other things. Many things are better, many are not. The next page is Florence Cathedral. So if you don't understand the double cross is two buildings. Yes, one of them is the cross itself, and they want to establish that cube in Jerusalem. That's what the fighting's about. But then once that temple's done, they could accuse you of a crime that you haven't done. That's why they're still fighting. Yes, and the other cross, the other cross temple is the one of Mecca, the tabernacle. Yeah, it will be good to bring on Didier Lacapelle and ask him more about it. Yes, yeah, and here is the next page shows the Russian Orthodox cross. Yes, and they say it's from the 16th century basically, but it's more like the 18th, 19th century. And you'll see the double cross at the top. It means one cross isn't established, the next one is established, which is Mecca, and then the bottom one is where Earth is, where we're unstable on Earth. So it's basically, the Kabbalah tree of life, and they understand these things. Now the next page has a look at the patriarch's cross, the patriarch of Rome, or I forgot which one, and then the original cross. The original cross is just the double cross, which is the double cube. Yes, and then within the double cube, yes, when you look at the Kabbalah tree of life, people will have to go back to the first picture, examine it, and if they can't figure it out, it's in my book, Science of the Kaaba. The double cross within that is, each of them is a double cube. So the next page makes it easier. The Latin cross and the Patriarch's cross, and then the Papal cross. Yeah, it doesn't matter which one, whatever. But it's from the Kabbalah tree of life. And then, of course, the next page shows the superstition. And when humanity becomes dumb, and they're making pictures, Satan's crosses. No, it's nothing. I don't see Satan there. I see two lines. I see a cross. I just see something that's normal. Yes. And I don't see Satan there. I don't see God there. It's just geometrical shapes that are supposed to represent something. But they want you to be superstitious. Then you're never going to figure it out. And the truth is that your destination is to die. We are all going to die. You could say death is just another journey to the next life. Yeah. So the thing is, while we're here, we can learn it and figure things out. If we don't learn it, to me personally, as long as you have a good heart and you're doing good things, then you've made it. Yes, that's me, but I'm not God. Yes. So the next page. Yes. The next page um, shows the crucifixion. What they're saying is supposed to be the symbol of death. But if anybody reads my book 33 Degrees, then you'll see that the position where Christ's heart is, or where you make the symbol of the cross, and he's at the center, yes, is basically, yes, he's on the cross or the kursi, yes, or the seat of God. Kursi means chair. Yeah, I'm going to go through it in the Germanic languages in a minute. Yes, in the Latin languages, it means the chair or the seat of God or the ruler or the representative of God. And the Quran tells you God's going to make a representative on earth. They don't tell you these things. Yes. So now when we see on the next page, it just goes through. Today, the cross is the symbol of the Christian religion. Yes, and in the same way, today, the Kaaba is the symbol of the Islam religion. That's what they want you to believe. But get past the religion and study the history of and the science, and you'll figure out something greater. Now, the next page makes it a bit more clear. So many people can't understand when they read these Kabbalah books, and it looks strange. There's a man on the tree of life. Basically, that's Jesus Christ on the cross, and his head is on the position of death, or known as Darth. Yes, so and that Darth is supposed to be the top cube or the top hexagon or the top cross on the double cross. Yes, and where his legs are or his knees are, that's where the bottom part is, and that's where Mecca is. Yes. No, where it says foundation, private parts here. Yeah, but the foundation of the tree of life is where Mecca is. Place is established. But the place that we cannot establish, the problem is what's where death is, and that's the temple in Jerusalem. That's why they keep fighting over religion, and in Gaza, all this death and everything. A lot of it are inside jobs and other things, and the rest of it is your own interpretations. People are, mercy, victory. They're inventing things, and then God the Father, God's female versions, this, and then the crown or the Quran at the top, etc. Yes, and it says in the Bible that Moses came with a Quran, basically, but that's another long story. So now the next page, yes, we can actually see the tree of life there. Yes, on the page, and then when you see it, you'll see that there's three pillars. That's why they invented the entire story. Three men got crucified on three poles, not three crosses. Yes, but basically three poles. So they just invented it from there because so that then you're going to be superstitious, and it worked. Millions of people now believe Christianity, oh, the Bible, oh, Jesus, oh, this, that. Then you're never going to figure it out. Yeah, you're spending hours and hours. So, all these evangelists and, fundamentalists in Christianity are wasting time on it. Yeah, same like in Islam, we've got these Quranists and all these Islamists. Yeah, there's two groups on each side who are just wasting time. Yes, fake dictionaries, fake everything. So once again, on the next page, it makes it a bit more clear. Yes, you could see the double cross, and then when you see that there's a place on the next page, yeah, that there's one circle called Darth or Death, and that's the one. That's where one double cube is, and the other double cube is Mecca. And between each of the double cubes is another double cube from the flower of life, which forms 666. And so that's why the distance has to be 666. And my book signs the Kaaba. So according to these people, what is Jerusalem or Al-Aqsa and the tabernacle in Mecca? What is the distance?
Kindly repeat your last question, David.
Yes. Yeah, what is the distance between the tabernacle of Moses, which is known today as Mecca, and Al-Aqsa, which is known as the Temple of Jerusalem? What is the distance between those places? 666. Yes, that's what they tell you, 666 nautical miles. So they invented the mileage. Maybe you forgot, it's in the book Science of the Kaaba. Do you remember?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes. So I think there's a time lapse between us talking. So now going to the next page. So on the next page, once again, yes, Jesus is on this cross. Yes, that basically Jesus is God, they're trying to say, or Jesus is on the cruci. He's on the cross or the cruci of God. Or the cross was originally a symbol where people used to worship God before Christ was even born. And that's why we found the symbol of the cross in many places around the world. And that's why the cross is a holy cross. It's holy. No matter what many Islamists or Quranists are going to say, yes, people should ignore them. Same like the Kaaba, it's a holy place no matter what any fundamentalists or evangelists will say. These places, people have different ways, and as long as you're doing beautiful things get to the next life and you're doing kindness, charity, path. Yes, friendship and love is the way. This was the greatest message of Jesus Christ. So the next page makes it even more clearer. Yes, and somebody could read the next page.
In the
Sure.
lowermost 10th
Go ahead.
Yes,
sphere,
somebody could read.
we can only see the physical universe with our five senses. The energy of the upper nine are hidden. Meditation gives us access to those spheres on cosmic and personal levels. Self-healing involves bringing your personal tree and its faculties into balance.
Yes, now the mathematics is correct. So 10 plus the 9 that are hidden, how many is that?
19.
Yes. So so as you can see, there's 19. This is the key. And the Quran is the main one that tells you, hey, look out for it. And then you're going to know. And this is the sacred, or this is the sacre in Arabic, or the secret, or in Latin, the sacre core. Sacre core, like the amazing cathedral that's in Paris, Sacre Core. Yes. So, but the other things are, they're adding the things on self-healing, bringing your personal tree. Yeah, all those things are good. People's interpretations. Yeah, people are entitled to different ways, and many of these ways work. They're beautiful ways. There's different ways. Not only the Christian or the Islamic way is the only way. So the next page, it's in color, and it shows that the problem is Darth. Yes, this temple that's not there in Jerusalem. And that's why it's a dream for many people to build it, because then the one that's at the bottom, which is known as the earth or Malkuth, yes, could be put into that. Then we could build heaven on earth. And we can't do it without God. Yes, because God is part of our lives. Because God is the king in reality. So this is the problem is about. Next page makes it easier for you to see the three pillars. Yes, the next page shows the three pillars of the of life, and as you can see, there's 1, 2, and 3. There's 1, 2, and 3. Yes, that is very important to notice the separation. And then the next page, what you will see, yes, is the alleged story of the crucifixion, the three pillars of the Kabbalah tree of life. So they didn't want you to study the science and the geometry, so they invented the crucifixion. And the Quran says they didn't crucify him. It basically looks like that. I'm not sure what it means, but basically an inside job, same like September the 11th. Yeah, so they done that. The next page shows many pictures that you can see it. They want you to focus on these things because they just don't want you to know. Yes, about to understand the Kabbalah. That people, when they're reading the Kabbalah, they're going to be diverted. Yes, by Jesus Christ, or they're going to be diverted by Mohammed, or they'll be diverted by the Bible, or they'll be diverted by the Quran, or the Kabbalah in itself. They've already messed it up so that you can't understand it, and they've hidden the originals. Yes, or Kabbalah, basically, yeah, everyone says the Kabbalah is ruling. These people rule because they understand the Kabbalah. And basically, it means they understand the Kaaba or the cube of Allah or of God. They basically understand this. So on the next page, I show a demonstration. Yes, of the double cube that you find on the tree of life. Yes, and the double cube rotates. And so because these people, they believe that they are God or Christ who's on the cross. And so that is the way for you to basically, yes, get to heaven or basically control all the powers or become superhuman. So the way that whoever designed this Kaaba in Mecca, it's very suspicious. The people in the deserts didn't create this. My book shows many photographs that these people were half naked. They don't know any of these things. And the Kaaba was designed by the elite in Europe, who you would call the children of Israel, uh, or the royal family, the family of Jesus Christ. It was made by their people and the family of Moses. Yes, and those things. But the thing is, the next page shows that when people are going around the Kaaba, what they're basically doing is squaring the circle, and it looks like the Kaaba is rotating as they rotate. And so the next page shows, when people go to the Kaaba, when they go to pray, these Muslims, men and women, go there. So as it's rotating, yes, the thing is, if you notice, what you will see is that you're preparing your soul to go from here, same like you came here. Yes, or your soul to go in a good way, or your prayers to go. It's your interpretation. It's up to you. So now the next page shows the impossible, or the highest degree in the highest degree in Freemasonry, squaring the circle, or the square in the circle. Yes, and this is what it looks like at the North Pole. The stars are going round, and at the South Pole. Now, we don't know what lands are there or what's in the heart of the Pacific and things like that, or in the Indian Ocean. They won't let us go. Yes, but anyway, the squaring the circle, the Muslims do it to show the highest achievement, that you purified your heart. They go there and they make promises that they're basically going to give their wealth away to feed the poor, give charity, have wonderful character. They dress in rags because they're preparing themselves for death to go. Basically, they're naked, just one white piece of cloth they're wearing and things like this. Of course, there's people abusing it and going there. Holidays, this and that, and many people feel they've got these nice rich cars. You've seen them driving around with, living in beautiful houses, or the entire system was created on the next page, as you can see, to prepare them. Yes, that when they've squared the circle, so that they can basically prepare themselves, they've prepared their soul, and so that they can go to what is known as paradise, or the higher dimension. Yes, or this process or system of death. They're preparing it for it. And so on the next page, what we could see is that there's two poles, not just one. That's why there is one, and the Quran says there is the farthest house of God. And the Quran says the entire universe is the throne of God. And so we've got the southern pole that the stars are going around. You can see when you go to Australia, you'll see there's all these flashing lights. And you'll see it in South America, and when you go to Canada and in Northern Europe, and you can see these flashing lights. So we know that there's things up in the north and the south, but they're not telling us. They were here before. They've got technology. They know. They don't want us to know. Yes, but from what we do know, yes, from there we're going to have to make do with that. Like, for example, if somebody says to me, we've got the technology right now so that every single person can have magical food and never be hungry again. I'll say, if you've got it, give it me. I'll share it like Wakanda. I'll say, if you haven't got it, yes, get lost. Put your money where your mouth is, because there is people there telling you, go to the North Pole, go to the South Pole. But they're hypocrites because they won't go themselves. Yes, they don't practice what they preach. Yes, so the thing is, based on our current reality, yes, we've got to build on that first. You see? And then the thing is, many of the maps, many people don't know, we'll go through it in a minute. Yes, that the North Pole at one time was actually in the Pacific. So now when we look at, yes, the next page, I've drawn a map of the known continents, even though this is what we know. I'm not going to go off superstition and say, hey, there's lands in the Indian Ocean where we're not allowed to go, or in the South Atlantic, or in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Notice the Ring of Fire. And many of the maps before the Middle Ages showed that the north was facing towards the Pacific, which is strange. We don't know what the Ring of Fire is. Many fishing boats aren't allowed there. We don't know what's in the North Pole, but the double cube of Jerusalem and Mecca is actually in the central locations of where our current land is. yeah, which is which is actual reality for us right now, and we've got to think, oh, what the hell is going on? Yes, we can't just ignore it. And so the next page shows an example. Like when people graduate, you have different types of hats. Yes, and this is a hat for graduation of for your doctorate. And inside the doctorate hat is the double cube, because basically at that time you'll have the capability to understand the double cube. Like the cube at Mecca is actually a double cube or a cube within a cube, but many people don't know. And of course, they invent fantasies. And so the next page shows no, this is beyond the professor. Yes, the next page shows the doctorate one. The doctorate one just shows the cube itself. Yes, from the hexagon form, and that's why the spiritual knowledge just doesn't go with scientific knowledge, because Jesus Christ wanted people to be spiritually better. Yes, so that we could achieve our objectives of why we're alive, why we're here, and scientific knowledge. That's why during the Middle Ages, yes, the Arabic language was the language of science. All this is explained in my book, The Science of the Kaaba, and I go more through the graduation levels, and I describe it better in that book. And then this is the cloth of the sacred knowledge, and everything. That's what they've got around the Kaaba. It's nothing to do with the black cube of Satan. Yeah, I could turn around and say, oh, you painted you've got a black door, yeah, at your house. Oh my God, it's the black door of Satan. Oh my God, you've got a red door. Oh my God, on your mobile phone, that color's blood. You're going to be a psycho killer. There's these mental, superstitious Islamists, Quranists. I've got no time for them. Yeah, on the next page, yes, I show a bit more of the sacred geometry. Yes, as you go through the graduation levels in university, yes, and you see the four sides, the first graduation cap, then beyond the master's, the sixth side, and then the cube beyond the eight sides beyond a doctorate. After that, it's the tesseract or the squaring, the circle. It's like as you go from knowledge, and this is what this was the Islamic system. Whoever set it up, they didn't set it up from the desert. No way, man. Yeah. And the thing is, the exact science of the Kaaba, the next page shows what these Muslims are doing. So what we've noticed is that humans, it's a joke if you're going to say to me, humans have been here for millions of years. Okay, go back a few millions of years. Where did they come from? They came out of the ground because we were eating the ground. All over the world, millions of holes that we can't understand. Humans were living in the floor. Yes, and they've always been eating the clay. And what is a potato? A potato is a seed that's eating the clay and the soil around it, and then we're just eating that potato. That's it. Yes, so we're always eating clay, and then the frequency of your brain, yes, actually matches the frequency of the soil, yes, or the heartbeats of the earth. So that when the Muslims bow down on the floor, they're connecting to that, and it refreshes your brain. I actually tried it last month, and I was actually shocked by the feeling. And the entire system is set up using sacred geometry. There's no way that these people set it up. It's exactly the same as the Orthodox Christian system, and the Orthodox Christian system is based on the Latin Vatican system. Yes, which was modified by them, but they got rid of the part where you fall on the floor. Yes, and this is exactly the system that you'll find in Buddhism where you fall on the floor, but they've got you doing it in some stupid way or something, bowing down to some idol or something, but they are bowing down on the floor saying only to the grand architect of the universe, or the alpha and the omega. So it makes a bigger difference. And then the next page shows, I don't know who set up this system, but they were so clever that when you look at this next page, that as the sun and the moon are rotating, yes, somewhere in every position of the planet is standing up and sitting and bowing on the floor and saying, God is great, Allahu Akbar. That's what it means. God is the greatest. Yeah, there's people abusing it, saying like people abuse the name of Christ or do killings in it, or racist acts carrying the cross of Christ, or the cross, yes, of the throne of God, which is a beautiful symbol. Yeah, and so they're saying God is great, and they're doing this, yes, 5 times a day, saying like the 5 human senses, the 5 platonic solids. And there is more to this. The science is explained in a deeper way of how the timing is done and everything to match the system in heaven. Yeah, which is actually so shocking. So the next page basically shows a diagram to explain the system of heaven. What they've done is, because these people are just preparing for the day after they die. I don't think anybody else is preparing it in such a huge scale, apart from the Jewish people. But the Jewish people are doing something else. I'll go through that in a minute. There's two sides of the people. Many of the Jewish people are not the children of Israel, but as you can see, just as a simple diagram, after the order of heaven, the next page after that. Yes, what we can see is that there's 12 months, 12 constellations, 7 days a week, the five major planets, the only five that you could see with your eyes, the five elements, the five daily prayers, earth, air, fire, water, ether, yes, the sun and the moon and everything. When you count the 12 constellations, everything, and the seven heavenly bodies, it comes to 19, blah, blah, blah. If anybody sees through it, it's just so shocking. And then the next page, yeah, basically you'll be able to figure out, how the Muslims decided that it's going to be a cube. Well, not the Muslims, I'm talking about how they know it's a cube. The elite, the children of Israel, yes, that when you look at it, when the water falls from the sky, yes, and it says, the Quran's story, which the elites seem to follow, that God made everything from water. And then it says, can you not see this? It tells you that the clever people or the scientists are going to understand this and they'll see it and they investigate. So when you see how the plants grow and everything, how water reacts with the seed and it forms bubbles, yes, as the rain falls down, and then the shapes that it forms around the cube or around the seeds. And if humans were formed on the earth, which we could see, yes, that they were made, that we've got sperm, it's a liquid form, yes, and the sperm with the water, and then it's just eating the clay or the soil, which we're eating as food, nutrients from the earth, yes. And so you figure out how life was made, and that's how they figured out everything in science. And yes, they've added it on, saying evolution and the missing link. Yeah, of course they said, and what they said was just 100 years ago. They said, humans came from monkeys. The Quran doesn't say that. The Quran says the different stories, but they said humans came from monkeys, and the missing link to monkeys were the white people in Ireland. Yes, that's what they said. Many of them in America, Canada, Australia, England, Scotland, and places like this. In Germany, they said other things. They chose other white people. But back once again, when we look at water, yes. So inside water, we find that the cube forms and then the dodecahedron. Yes, from the bubbles. Yes, this is natural science. These are the shapes that science forms itself. Now, on the next page, what you will see is that when we examine water itself, and I challenge some of these Muslims because they just want to say, invent stories or something. I challenged evangelists, and they said it's the cube of Satan. I said, have a look at water and how it forms the cube, and how it forms circles. Yes, and so many of these people will say, "Oh, God doesn't create straight lines." Yeah, somebody put it on a comment, trying to preach people. We're not here to preach. We're trying to figure out through history. Yes, when the sun's rays come, yeah, somebody put down, yeah, that's a good one. Yes, that there's straight lines, and then we could see straight lines in nature, in many things, and we see all these shapes forming in water. Or maybe these, Islamists and evangelists and Quranists and fundamentalists are blind that they've not had a look. Yes, by the way, their own Quran says it. Yeah, that's why when I see these people with so much hatred or something, I think I don't want to be amongst them. Yeah, you know what I mean. They've got so much hatred they want to bully you, force you into their religion of evangelism or something. Yeah, me. Yeah, I love the cross. I use it when I pray. I'm sorry, I don't care if you like it or not. Yeah, I like the cube. I like it when I pray because these are just sacred geometrical symbols, which are natural symbols, and they're sacred because the sacred is what God created. Yeah, if you don't like it, it's you've got your own way. Yeah, don't try to force your way upon me. So on the next page, yes, as we could see, many people could not figure out the 33rd degree. It's like there's thousands of blogs, millions of lines of comments and pages that they're trying to figure out what is the 33rd degree. I keep seeing it 33, 33. Yeah, I don't think anybody in the world, and there was a few Muslims, just shouting out loud about 19, and they're trying to preach you to join their religion, 19, this and that. Yeah, don't fall for the scams. Yes, if you want to know something about what the Quran says, go to the mosque. Don't listen to these crazy preachers. Yeah, they've all got an agenda. I mean, why do you have to believe what they believe? Huh? Why can't you make up your own mind and do research? Yeah, it's like I see crazy evangelists, but well, not it's like some evangelists like Jehovah's Witnesses. I really like them. Mormons. Yeah, I'm not approving their religion, but I do like many aspects. But why I like them is that they don't try to force it upon you. They're very kind. They're gentle. They talk to you very nicely. They come and visit you if you've got the time. Yeah, and they say, "Are you interested?" If not, they're very kind and gentle. I think Islamists and Quranists should take a lesson from them. Yeah. But anyway, so when you look at the flower of life, this is very important. And when you look at the sky above you, the 12 constellations and the seven heavenly bodies form 19. And as the Quran said, the sacred, yeah, above you, yeah, above it is 19. So from there, that's how they created the clock. And then when you look at it 3 dimensions, yeah, what you could see, it actually forms 33. And this is the limit of our universe. You can't go beyond here. This is the universe or the throne of God, the heavens and the earth. Yes, and from there you get the tree of life and everything, and the shape that it forms is a cube. Yes, but if you take all the edges of the flower of life, it forms a dodecahedron, which is the universe. And the cube is the throne, and the cube is basically square. Now, when you kill it, yes, basically, you break the cube, it forms a cross. So it's the symbol of death also. Now, some people worship the symbol of death. Now, those are the people who are abusing it. It's a beautiful symbol. The cross is beautiful. Don't listen to anyone if anyone's saying, no, it's just Islam only. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm sorry. Yes? And your preaching won't. Now, in the next page, I'm showing because they've made sure that Arabic looks like it's the oldest language because people were writing backwards and human writing. Handwriting is the oldest language, and it's the language of the rabbi, the educated people. The rabbis are the most educated people. Yes, and I'm not talking about the rabbis who you see on the street, the higher rabbis that are rabbis from the royal blood. Yes, those people, they understand this Arabi or Rabbi language, which is the original Arabi language. And so they've messed up languages. So in the Quran, it will say that the throne of God is called the Rosh or the Arush, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Yes, so that's where the Germanic word comes from, Reich. Yes, the throne or the empire of God. Yes, so you can see that. So the next page, what you will see is this is the thing, yeah, if there's Islamists and Quranists, and they comment something, I'm very sorry. Yes, but the verse of God's throne is actually called the Ayat al-Kursi. Now, the word Kursi means chair, chair of the throne of God. This is where the seating of God, how it's described. It doesn't mean that God's a man. So that is the actual kursi or the crossy. Can anybody see this? Yeah, the cross, kursi. Yes, can you all see it? Yes, on the screen. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, great. So that's that. Oh, the next page. The next page. It basically, I've done a book. I'm not going to go through it now. No ancient Greece existed. But the page after that, this is very important. Yes, is the 5 Platonic solids, and the Muslims do 5 daily prayers. Yes, same like the Platonic solids follow the sacred geometrical order of God. That you can't change how sacred geometry works. Like a tetrahedron, 4 faces, basically like a triangle, represents the fire, earth, air, the universe, and water. The dodecahedron basically represents the universe. And inside the dodecahedron, it's explained in my book, Science of the Kaaba, inside that is a cube. And the cube is the one that's at Mecca, yes. And depending on which angle you look at it from, it's the way that Mecca has been constructed. Yes, and then the cube, when it's broken or open, or the seating where God actually is sitting on, yes, because God is actually sitting on the throne. Nobody else. I'm not saying he's a man. I'm using human language to describe it easier. So that's why the cube is the cross. Yes, and anybody who tries to invade God's territory and tries to break God's throne is basically, breaking it, and it's the symbol of death. So that's why they invented the Crusade, the fictional story. And so now the next page, yeah, which is important. This shows you the next page. Number one shows you what the Kaaba looks like when you're using X-ray eyes. Inside it, there is a cube within a cube. The Kaaba, and then when people are walking around the Kaaba, it looks like it's going in the opposite direction. It looks like the cube is rotating. Yes, same like the heavens or the sky above us is rotating. The stars are rotating around their poles. And then the next page is more deeper. Yes, the next page, but this science takes many years. You go to universities. Yes, what you have to do is graduate from the cube level. I mean the square level. You wear the square hat on graduation. Then you wear the six-sided hat, which is the cube. Then the octagon level, the eight-sided hat. Then you wear the round hat for the most advanced researcher in your field. Yes, that you've squared the circle. Now, Merkaba, Metatron's cube, Hypercube, and then all these other things. Once you understand it all, you understand it's nothing to do with Satan. The symbol of the cross is nothing to do with Satan. They're beautiful symbols. It's like beautiful ways, representations of the universe and sacred geometry, and people use it. It's a nice thing to form the shape of the cross from your head to below your heart, from your shoulders, to show I've come before the throne of God and I'm saying my prayers. Yes, and in the other way that that's one side. And if you want to worship to God, because God's throne extends over the heavens and the earth, then you could face the Kaaba. It's up to you, whichever one you want to do, or make your own way. Yes. So now the next page, actually, yes, the next page shows a verse of the Quran. Yes, and this shows a simple translation. It basically tells the story that God turns around and says that he's going to make masters of the universe or earth, yes, of whatever he's created. And then the angels, whoever the angels are, it uses the word malaika, which also sounds like Malik in Arabic, yes, or Melek in Hebrew, depending on the pronunciation, which means kings, yes. And also, so many people are questioning what does angels mean. So, this story sounds suspicious. Many Kabbalists have said it sounds like God is having a conversation with his assembly. Same like Dungeons and Dragons, the first movie. Yes, and he's saying, "I'm going to make Adam." Yes, that there's these two-legged creatures, basically the beasts are humans, who are basically cannibals and eating each other and killing everybody. Yes, and God said, I'm going to make those guys the basically the viceroy, or they're going to be the masters of the earth. And the angel said, no way, you can't be doing that. You can't be serious. They're all naked and all of that. And then God calls one of them over on the next page. And what he did was Adam, yes, he taught him many things and educated him things. And so the angels didn't have this education. God made Adam know things more than the angels, and he's passed that information most probably down to his tribe. Yes, so that's what he's probably done. Yeah, so now we're on the next page. Yes, so Adam basically learns everything. So now what you could see here is Paris 100 years ago. Yes, I've forgotten the exact dates. There were all these shanty towns. They were throughout Europe and America 100 years ago, and just more than that. People are coming. People didn't even have houses. Before the machines, they didn't even have clothes that were made from wool or polyester or cotton or anything, because people couldn't do it. It's too hard. And then slowly, as we built the homes and everything came out of the ground because of the revolutions of Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and Moses. Yes, because of their revolutions, that people should learn the knowledge. They should be allowed to learn how to make clothes. And look at some of these shanty towns in Paris. They're squares, they're cubes. Oh my God, it's the cube of Satan. Get lost. Well, now the next page just shows you. Yes, early 20th century. Millions of people were living like this in Europe. As they came out of the ground, somebody gave them, a bit of the cotton that was means from the children that they kidnapped and other people. They were forcing them to work. Now, I've never said this before. Yes, it was a bad thing what they did. Yeah, kidnapped all the children, destroyed the countryside, but in the countryside, half the people were still like barbarians and animals. So there was a faction who said, we've really, in the elite amongst the children of Israel, who said, we've got to get these people with clothes. So what they did was the real history I'm telling today. Yes, it's in my book Orphan Trains, but I didn't mention the other part. Yeah, the Church of God was profiting and making money out of it and all these things. But at the top, the good side thought we've got to do things fast because people are naked. They're eating each other. They're sleeping with anybody, mother, daughter, mother with her son, anybody with anything. They've got no languages. They've got nothing. That they were the beasts. Yes, so Europe was naked 150, 200 years ago. The majority of the beasts or the peasants or everything. Now here, the next page shows a movie. Yes, Johnny English. On the next page, what they show, just before that, you've gone past it. Johnny English. Yes, before this one, you've gone past the picture. Oh no, maybe it's yes. Stop. So he's on there. He's on the hexagon because the hexagon, yes, is basically the cube, our three-dimensional reality. Yes, and so the thing is, so the cube represents the Earth. Yes, and that's how we know it from the Platonic solids. That people are going to say, it's from the time of ancient Greece. No, it's not. Jesus Christ was teaching the science. He's the father of geometry, and he was trying to wake people up so that people realize which dimensions we're in and all these things. And that's how they've understood the science and they're making virtual reality. Now go back to that page. And this is from the movie Dungeons and Dragons. Go back to the last picture. Yes. And you'll see this is the queen, and she, like in this movie, they know. So the mirror, these mirrors in these telephones were just telephones in classical houses. Yes. And so what she did, she said it was same like the Wakanda movie. And the peasants were like, they had no technology, they had nothing. They were living a horrible lifestyle, basically naked. And so in there was the assembly. And it's like the Julius Caesar story. And they have an assembly in that movie. And he says, oh my God, she wants to share it so that these people can have the same life like us. They'll have the same education. They're going to become smart. They're going to live longer. And things like this have the same health benefits. Yeah. Now the next page. Now the next page shows the interior of the Kaaba. Yes, basically it's like this. They modify it all the time, but basically it's a cube within a cube. Yes, or what we call the double cube or the tesseract. This has been known by people who are clever. And of course, they'll say the black cube of Satan, whatever. So same like the next page. Yeah, it's like in my house, in your house, as we can see in the next page, we've all got knives in our houses. That doesn't mean I'm going to kill someone. Oh my God, he's got a knife in his kitchen. Get real. The next page will show you that the superstition, yes, that the knife is there, yes, for good things. But people can imagine and be superstitious and mental. And you could go out there and be mental and kill someone or attack someone. But that's the purpose. So the same thing, the cube and the cross, like the next page will show you the mentalness that I've seen all these Islamists, Quranists, evangelists, fundamentalists, all these people preach the cube of Satan. There's rings on the planet Jupiter. They're worshipping Jupiter. No. There's rings on the planet. No, there's rings on Jupiter and Saturn. Yeah, so they'll just make stories up. Now, the thing is, different people, one person could have a knife to kill someone. Another person could have a knife saying, hey, hi, honey, what time's dinner made tonight? Yeah, there's normal people out there. And then there's mental people out there who are going to say, it's the cube of Satan. Yes, but there's normal people out there who will understand the squaring the circle concept, and they'll understand it's science and geometry, and that they will realize that no, humans didn't just come out of the earth by accident, and the earth isn't here by accident. There's something more going on. We are something special. Everybody could feel it. Yes, that we've arrived, and that we've got a purpose. So now this will kill the Quranist fantasy. And the Christian fantasy of these evangelicals and all these Quranists. Now, the next page is a verse from the Bible. I've always loved this Bible. It's I've always loved this sentence in the Bible, in the book of John. Yeah, somebody could read this.
This is from John 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God.
Bravo.
All things were made by him.
Bravo. This is one of the most beautiful sentences I've ever heard. Yes, I don't care if there's going to be people there from whatever religion, from a blue religion or a green religion, that are going to say something to me. But in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Because the Word of God is actually, yeah, you could say it's part of God. Yes, so this is what the Bible says. And so it's beautiful. So in the Quran, it turned around and said, God said be. And that's how everything came into existence because of the word of God. Yes. So now, what's causing all these fights between the public and Christians and Muslims? There's no need for it. It's like so if everything was made with the word of God, yes, then that means everything is God. But then some people will say, no, everything's not the word of God. But then isn't creation made by the word of God? Wasn't it his command? And wasn't Jesus Christ, according to the Quran? Jesus Christ is the word of God. And the word is God. So isn't Jesus Christ God? Isn't the Quran a Trinitarian book? Oh, well, Didier Lacapelle, bring him on and discuss this with him. This is very important. He will tell you the Trinitarianness in the written Quran, but the oral Quran says something different. Now, the written Qurans say something. We'll go through that in a minute. It's because, I'm sick of these Islamists who are always trying to say, everything in Christianity in the Bible and everything is very bad. It's not. Yes. So now going back to Star Wars. Now somebody could read on the next page. They could read the title.
So has anyone else noticed that the age of 19 seems to hold some sort of significance in Star Wars? Luke and Leia are 19 in one of the movies, Anakin's 19, and Rey's 19, and Han is 19 in the Solo movie.
Yes. So that's the beginning. Yes. And so now the next page shows it again. In The Force Awakens, Rey is in 19. And notice that the Resistance, Rey, she's in the deserts. Yes. And the organized New World Order is same like Europe and America. They've got the best armies, the best technologies. The world order. Yes, and the resistance is fighting from the desert. And they know this. So they made these movies for themselves. Yeah, if the peasants watch them or the beasts, which are the normal public. Yeah, I'm using those words, then people will wake up, or otherwise they won't. So if the peasants and the beasts watch it, they don't care. The money doesn't mean anything because it's printed. They could photocopy more anytime. Yeah, anybody who thinks something else is just dreaming. So as you notice that Star Wars, yes, the next page, explains the dating system in Star Wars, BBY and ABY, before and after. Yes, when the world order takes over, basically BC and CE. Yes, and so what we will notice is that on the next page, yes, the timeline, yes, somebody could read this of Star Wars.
The timeline, this is
The
from Star
timeline is
Wars
based-
Episode 4, Twilight of the Force, A Father's Legacy. The timeline is based on Order 66 or O66, whereas
O
O
means
would be another,
order, or year zero,
Mhm.
yes.
which is year 0 or 19
Yes.
BBY. 19 years dividing a galaxy after the Clone Wars killed billions.
Yes, as you can see, 19. So they're
And
throwing
just
this in your
to be
face,
clear,
but
basic
people don't
gematria,
realize this.
O stands for order, but O in basic gematria is also a 6. So that's where we have the third 6.
Ah, yes, you could say that's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, now the next page, somebody could read this.
19 years after the formation of the Empire, Luke Skywalker is thrust into the struggle of the Rebel Alliance when he meets Obi-Wan Kenobi, who has lived for years in seclusion on the desert
basically,
planet of Tatooine.
Yes, as you've noticed, Tatooine or Tatan or Titans or Tatar or whatever you want to call it, and it's the desert regions. The resistance is there. Yeah, so many people are just laughing and thinking, oh, this war in Gaza, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, in these deserts, they're going to spread the war into Saudi Arabia. It's going to be our fault if we let it happen there. They're just going to pretend and say, oh, these cities were filled with Jews and Christians. They murdered everyone thousands of years ago, and Muhammad killed them all, and he took over. When Muhammad was one of the leaders of the children of Israel, lived in Europe somewhere. Yes, and the thing is, 19 years. Yeah, they know what this is. Yeah, the secret's there. Yes, and so the next page. Yes, somebody could read it, including the title.
What did Darth Vader do for 19 years? In the 19 years that followed Order 66, many Jedi fell to Vader, Inquisitors, Emperor's hands.
Etc. You
A lot.
basically got it.
Mhm.
The number 19 is very important. Yes, and the Jedi, the Jihadi, or the Knights of Judah. Yes, who and the Knights Templar carried the same cross, and they had the cross, and this was the cross of Christ, or cross, or kurus, or kursi, or the seats of God, that they were defending the other side. Nothing to do with Jesus. All this history is a lie, and they know it is. And so the Inquisitors, yes, it's them. Yes, in the same way that right now we have an Inquisition right now. Yes, fact checkers and all of this. The Inquisition, they've already done it in Europe and America. They're only teaching you the fake history. And the emperor is their leader. Yes, from amongst the children of Israel who they're hiding. The Quran tells you the story, not the Bible. Yes, by the way, I found the story in the Bible, and it's in Star Wars too, which is shocking. So now the next page, and somebody could read it. Yes.
The reign of the Empire era of Star Wars lasts 19 years, taking us from the end of the Clone Wars in the year 19 BBY all the way, I guess, to the year 0 in that timing.
I think everybody's beginning to get the message now. And the 19, you can understand it if you understand the two parts of the throne of God. Yes, one is the cross or the kursi, and the other one is the arsh or the reich. Yes, and the furthest temple or the furthest mosque, and the two poles where the stars are going round, and one is Mecca and one is Jerusalem. Yes, so I'm going to write about the sign of the cross. Now, the background to this book, I've just finished Signs of the Kaaba. If people want to understand what this is, it's more there. Yes, and going on to the next page. Yes, you could just read the first. Yeah, you could read it all. Star Wars.
So Star Wars timelines dates the proclamation of the New Order to 19 BBY, placing the 0 point, the Battle of Yavin, of the ABY-BBY dating system around 3277 LY, and therefore establishing a difference of approximately 3277 years between the two dating systems.
Well, basically, as you've seen, the number 19 is becoming a joke. It's becoming a joke. The next page shows the same thing, that there's, and the next page explains it a bit more better. The 3,200 years, yes, when you go, you could read this, year 19.
Year 19 BBY of the ABY-BBY dating system, therefore establishing a difference of approximately 19 years between the two dating systems.
I think everybody's beginning to see. Yes, so these things are very serious. And then the next page, I go through it. Many people will say here that Han Solo was born around 32 years. Notice 3277. And many people achieve the 32nd degree, but they can't do the 33rd degree unless if they're royal blood or unless if they declare themselves that they're sitting on the cross. Yes, a New Hope, which means that he was 22 in Solo, but he was indeed 19 in the prologue of the movie. So Han Solo, yeah, and for example, the next page, in the Attack of the Clones, yes, Grogu, he was 19 too. We could see this on the next page. Yeah, many people are questioning and they've noticed all this thing. Oh my God, it's just 19, 19, 19. Yes, and the next page, it shows Rey. Yeah, you know, The Force Awakens is one of my favorite ones. Yes, where she fights against Han Solo's son, who is Princess Leia's son. Yes, and he's of royal blood. Yes, at the top of the Jedi or top of Judah, the children of Judah, or yes, and that's why the word Judah, it comes judo, and judo in Indian means war, and that's where the word, even in Serbia, you get the word jet or judo jetnik, yes, and things like this. So and then she finds out all her abilities. The abilities come when you when you can unite yourself with the force of God. Now, there is two opinions on uniting with the force of God. If anybody watches this, that you will see that Darth Vader and Han Solo's son, I forgot his name in that movie, yes, and they connect with the force, but they believe that they are God, that they are the third degree, and that they could control it because they believe that they are gods. That's why we see that the gods of ancient Egypt, but ancient Egypt was in the Middle Ages, whereas she realizes the ability that the thing is the ability she realizes that the thing is that you can connect with the force and basically communicate with God, and the thing is you don't have to use it in a bad way. Yes, and basically she's 19 also. So yes, and so the next page shows you know, Obi-Wan. Yeah, 19 years past in I'm not sure what that is when they're on the planet Tatooine. And Tatooine, the next page shows the planet Tatooine, or whatever. It's the desert planet where the resistance is. And what you will see is that it's beige color and whatever, inhabited by human settlers and other life forms, whatever. Yeah, and basically the resistance. So these things are very important. Then the next page will show you the Jedi Knights of the Jedi Order, or Judah. Yes, and they are the religious Judah, academics. Yes, they're a meritocracy, like the Knights Templar or the Jihadis, and thousands of years before, because they are like older, and things like this Judah, which is a tribe from the children of Israel, and they are, and the good Judah ones are guardians of the order, and they want justice, and then they got corrupted, and then they were like warrior monks who were like academics or scientists. They're saying it in the movie, and the people who understand it, they know this history. And by the way, this history is in the Quran. What else can I say? You know. So the next page shows the Force Awakens. Yeah, and yeah, and it was released in America on which date?
It was released here, it says December 18th, 2015.
Yeah, which was the 19th on the other side of the world. Yes, and
Right.
read the bottom paragraph and you'll basically understand it more. This is what they're telling you.
With a budget of 200 million, the movie grossed 1.5 billion within 19 days of its initial release.
Yeah, you basically got it. That they don't care about the sales, everything. The data is fake. It's all a joke. You see? And then you're watching it, but you've got no clue what all of this is about. Now, the next page, yes, talks about the Force. Yes? Can you see it? And so the Force, you could call it, you know, they call it God. Yes? Basically, the energy field, basically created, and they're saying it was created by all life that bound everything, or basically. Yes, but this is what they're saying, or it's the energy field or something. You could call it energy, you could call it God. Yeah, you could say, now the choice is either we created God or God created us. Yeah, so that's your opinion. Yeah, it's a good thinking. Yeah, it's up to you. Yes, how you want to judge and decide things. Yes, don't listen to anybody, and if somebody else insists on something, yes, do your own investigations. Now, the next page, yes, shows what they want to do. Yes, and it's a great plan, because what they're saying is if we could communicate with the Force, like in Minority Report, or like in Star Wars, but it depends how you're going to use that Force. And then who is going to be the high priest of the temple? Yes, you see? And they say it has to be somebody from royal blood. That's why they say the Messiah will be from royal blood. These normal Jewish people, they're normal people who became Jews in the last 100 years, 200 years. They've got nothing to do with it. It's the people who are above. And the thing is, there's many people, yes, many Jews themselves don't want this temple there. It's because the thing is, they're saying, no, we can't do it without the Messiah, who's going to be the honest person from the royal family. And so the honest person from the royal family, and that's why we see there's many corrupt people in Shia Islam, but the good ones have the same thing. They're waiting for the Messiah. He's got to be of royal blood, and they say chosen like from the blood of Eli, and Eli was like the Levites and things like this, chosen because because they're saying, how can you believe if somebody's going to tell the world God just said this or the Force just said this? So the next page, as we could see, yes, it's from Chabad, and Chabad is a very big Jewish organization, and they've got very great plans because the world is at war. Yes, and they're saying that for Jewish people the mission is, yes, what is the mission of Jewish people for Jewish life? You can read it. The rabbi explained.
The rabbi explained that we are the 7th generation, and it is therefore our mission to complete the job and bring God down to earth.
Yes, so this is talking about one of the great rabbis in the past, and the mission to not like bring God because God's already there, but so that God could communicate with the world in the temple, and that's when there will be peace because you could talk to God behind a curtain, and the Quran says that you can talk to God, but behind like a screen or behind a curtain. So the next page shows um, videos that people could find online. Many rabbis are saying it, but many rabbis disagree. It's like go to the next page. And so, what many people are not aware of is that the New World Order has bribed many rabbis and many things. And I'm saying the bad side of the New World Order, the bad royalty from the children of Israel. And what they've done is that they're willing to do bloodshed, anything it takes to establish this system. Now, there is the other side who are saying, no, let's wait for the Messiah or the priestly Messiah from royal blood from the children of Israel, so that then we could do it peacefully and by agreement, and that we could do it in such a way that somebody who's going to be trustworthy, so that when they do communicate with God, that they're not going to lie with people. And the result is Minority Report. We can see it there, just in case, because there is going to be Islamists and Quranists going to be saying, David's a Jew, David's a Zionist, he wants this temple, he's even saying it's good, things like this. The next page, you could read this yourself. This is from the Al-Quran of the Muslims themselves.
This is from chapter 42, Consultation, version Sahih International. And it is not for any human being that Allah should speak to him except by revelation or from behind a partition, or that he sends a messenger to reveal by his permission what he wills.
Yes. In the next page, it shows you the partition is a veil or like a cloth, like a hijab or something. So what they want to do, that's what they want to do with this Temple of Jerusalem. Now, there's many Jewish people, as you saw, holding the Palestinian flag. They're resisting because they're saying, who the hell is going to do this? We don't believe you. And there's other Jewish people who just want to get it done, and they believe it from the other side. So they're playing with the Jewish people. Unfortunately, a lot of bloodshed is being done. And if we don't make a stand in Europe and America, oh my God, all these immigrants, immigration is coming. You know, refugees, millions and millions of them are coming. So now the thing is, there are many people who are worried that they call it that these people, some of them are so evil that they're even saying that let's bring God down here, find his secrets, and then trap him, make him a prisoner. But anyway, on the next page, let's move on to Transformers, robots in disguise. Now, this is what they say, King Arthur, or the symbol from King Arthur, and this is the cross. Yes, in Transformers. Anyway, it's very important that the Transformers are fighting the humans, and that you will notice. Could you see the Alpha and the Omega at the bottom, and the sun and the moon at the top? Yes, you can
Yes,
see it, and
yes.
it's an equilateral cross, and this is the cross of the throne. Yes, so they're using the same story. The same story is there again and again all over the world, but many people don't seem to realize it. Now, the next page basically goes through the story. Yes, basically about that there's a war going on between Cybertron that wants to take the energy of the Earth's core because they want Earth, their race of creatures, and this story is in the Quran. It's not in the Bible. That it says that there's another race of creatures, Satan's race, that they want the planet Earth and they want it for their people. Yes, and that's why they're fighting against us humans. And so then the Quran says that many of these, Satan's people have now joined the humans, and that's what it says shows in the Transformers movie. That many Transformers, like Optimus Prime and the Autobots, many of them have joined the humans. You see? Yeah. So this story, it's actually in the Quran. It's not in the Bible, and the people in power, they know this. So the next page, it goes through the Transformers, things like this, and I've not got it highlighted. Yes. You've got it. Read the last sentence. The official Twitter account of when
The
they
official
released this
Twitter account
movie, the latest Transformer movie.
The official Twitter account showed a
Yes.
19-second short video in Morse code that translates to "I'm coming for you, May 31st." On May 31st, it was revealed that Megatron
Yes.
would return to the sequel.
Yeah, basically when they just got this latest Star Wars movie out or whatever, yes, called The Last Night, they're using these codes throughout these movies. And you've noticed it's 19 again, and 19 is the 33rd degree. Yes? So that's what they're doing. Yes? And what you'll notice is that the King Arthur legend and the last night, go on to the next page, and what you'll see is that there's Professor Vivian. She thinks she's an English lady, and she's behaving ridiculous. She behaves ridiculous to this American guy who's fighting in the resistance, and he's in the deserts. Yes, but you could read this.
At around 1 hour
At
and
around
19 minutes, Professor Vivian Wembley, Laura Haddock, is a descendant of Merlin, Stanley Tucci. This relates to the Arthurian legend.
Yes. Yes. So basically, it's like the mega news comes out, and it's like a mega shock. She's the savior. She's the savior of the planet Earth. Now go on to the next page, and what we could see is what is going on, because many people are saying, "What is this about energy? Our energy and this and that." So what you will see is that in 17,000 BC, yes. Yeah. And what is how many years ago is 17,000 BC, by the way? Somebody
Well,
calculate.
by now about 19,000 years ago, in official timeline.
So 19,000 years ago, the dynasty of Primes, the highest ruling, notice the royal family of Cybertronians, yes, collect energon from star harvesters, machines that consume star. Basically, they want energy. And the seven primes have a sacred rule to never deplete a star that sustains lives. So basically, it shows the conflict, has been going on for 19,000 years. So now the next page. Yes, now in the next page, it confirms it. The Transformers revolt and explore the cosmos before coming to Earth about 19,000 years before modern times. At this point, the Cybertronians plan to harvest our sun, basically for energy, until they discover humans and decide not to wipe us out. And that's why Optimus Prime, he loved humans, but it all had to happen 19,000 years ago. So as you can see it, and going on to the next page, you can see the image again. The sun, the moon, the Alpha and the Omega, and the cross, which is the throne of God or the seat of God. It's got nothing to do with Jesus Christ, and they know it. And they know it, and it's in the Quran. So that's how I knew it. If I didn't read the Quran, I would have telling you the truth, I wouldn't have figured this out if I didn't read the Quran on that part. Yes. So now, as you could see, this is a screenshot from the movie Transformers, and then you will see the planet Earth and the planet Cybertron, or whatever you want to call their civilization. Yes. So the next page, can you see it? The two circles. Yes. Next page. Yeah. Can you see on the next page? Yes, the two circles. So once again, we have the tree of life. Yes, and we have the flower of life. And the top one is dead. Same like the top one is where Christ crucified or death, and that's where man fell. You see? So at the top one is the problem. And that's why Jerusalem or Al-Aqsa and the temple is in the north, and that's where the war is. Now, if they build that temple, yes, over there, if the wrong people build it, then they're going to destroy the whole earth. That's what the movies are about. And Mecca is at the southern one, you see. Now, this is why many people, if they understand the Kabbalah, if they understand everything, these people have even, they made these movies for themselves, you see, because it's their entertainment. They've got nothing to do. Their children, their families, amongst the children of Noah, the children of Israel, yes, the children of Adam, the first group of humans who came, they don't care about you peasants or anything. Yes, who were half naked. They gave you languages, fake history, turned you into crazy evangelists, crazy Islamists, crazy fundamentalists, crazy Quranists. They don't care. Yeah, but can you see it? Are you beginning to see things a lot more clearer now, Raphael? Are you beginning to see it?
Indeed.
Yeah, what about you? What about you, Chiqueta? And you,
Yes.
Andreas? What do you think?
Yes.
Are you beginning?
Very interesting.
Questions, Andreas? Any questions? So,
Well, I have
can
a
anybody
question.
hear me?
I'm
Any so far?
yes. There's just a little bit of a delay, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but David, do you have any ideas about like where these people come from? Like originally, like you say that the human beings were planted here, type of thing, and obviously our history is all made up. But do you have any idea about if are there some other civilizations somewhere out there, wherever that may be?
Right, right. The only thing that we know is our current reality. We can't go beyond this cube or this three-dimensional thing. I've explained this very clearly in my book, Science of the Kaaba. This is very unfortunate. Now, what we could do is calculate from our perception of the fourth dimension and fifth dimension, but it's never accurate. But we do know that there's other beings there. Yes, we do know that they exist because we've seen it in the past and they've hidden a lot of history. We know that there's these angels and other strange kind of creatures and things to do with snakes and dragons, whatever they are. Yes, we've seen many kind of things. We know that this mud fell from the sky. Where did it come from beyond the sky? Yeah, we know that life fell down here and that humans became alive. Yes, just water growing up, water or some sperm or something, and then humans came out of the ground. Now they came from somewhere else. Somebody gave it life, whoever this god is or whatever it is. Now these things are very difficult to explain. I really don't know how to explain it. Yes, but
What do you
Andreas,
think?
any questions?
What do you think is the intentions of doing that? Whatever this entity or entities were or are, they must have done this with purpose, right? It wasn't
The
all
full
just done by
story is in the
accident.
Quran. It's the same story. Yeah, this story is in the Quran. This story is in Transformers. This story is in Star Wars. It's in all these major dramas and movies that they make. It's the same story in many of Stephen King's books. It's the only story that they read it out and they put it in different versions in movies, this and that, because it's exciting for them. Yes, I know the story. That's why I love these movies, because I know what they're about. Yeah, and they do it in different versions, different whatever. Yeah, once you've read the Quran from top to bottom, you figure it out. And if the 10% you don't understand, yeah, go to the mosque. Don't ask these people online or these crazy Islamists or people like that or Quranists or whatever they call it, preachers. Don't ask them. Just ask some normal Muslims or something. Yeah, and then you'll find if there's small details that you don't know. But Andreas, you've gone silent. What do you have to say? Andreas? I think we've lost him. Yes?
Or maybe he's
Let
busy.
me know.
So David, we gone
Yes.
through a big part of the presentation. Maybe it's
Sorry.
a good time to do a second part, or Andreas, kindly, if you have any
How
questions.
long has it been? I don't even know how long
We're about
we've been on
2:20
air
in.
for. How long?
Sorry, I guess my microphone was
Oh my
like
God.
lost phantom power.
Yes.
But I was gonna say like
Yeah, we'll
666 is
continue another time.
18, 18 and 0 is 19. But Jews, the Muslims, the Christians are all telling you to worry about 19. They're just not using that word to describe it. Henry says I'm on a 19-minute delay. That's pretty
Yeah.
funny. No, I'm here. But yeah, I think that there's something very interesting about
Yeah.
19 in the respect that it's the 666 number that they're telling you to worry about, and that it's the number that's going to tie together
It's
all
the
of
sacred
these
number.
cargo cultures. Right.
It's the sacred number. You're right. You're absolutely right. And the thing is, if you don't understand it, don't worry. If you, I'm telling you this personally, from what I've learned. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that if you've got a good heart, you're kind and charitable, and and you do your best to make sure that everybody has a beautiful life, and you try your best, then you know what, you've made it. And if you want to do more and you want to learn more, but remember, with knowledge comes responsibility. You've got to do more by giving more charity. You've got to practice what you preach. Yes, not just go out there and think, hey, oh, I'm preaching, I'm preaching my Christianity or Islam. Yeah, I think these preachers are all, FOS or full of something. Yes, because they won't practice where they preach, or they won't put their money where their mouth is. As they say, money talks and Bullstein walks. Yeah, so don't worry about if you don't understand any of these things. Yeah, be grateful that we're alive, sharing our common humanity. Yes, and the thing is, yeah, don't be prejudiced because somebody's black or brown or yellow, or somebody's a Jew, or somebody's a Muslim, or somebody's a Christian, or somebody's a Hindu. The reality is, yes, we've all got this force or the spirit within us, and the thing is, we're all alive, same like all the creatures of God, like cats, dogs. If you want to call it the force or the grand architect, use whatever language. Yeah, and to understand the sign of the cross, I've done part one of the book, Science of the Kaaba. Yes, it's for you if you think that you're on that level to understand this sacred geometry, to understand the numbers, because that's where I'm getting to now. And the mud flood thing is, yeah, the stories in the Quran and how humans came, one group of people being replaced, and why they might be putting all these chemicals in the air, and some people call it poisoning the land and other things. Yeah, because if there's going to be new arrivals?
And why the
Yes.
pregnant ladies keep eating all the clay sediment, man? What's up with Pika? We know it. It's because apparently that's what babies crave. Babies crave Pika. They want clay, I guess. That's something to
Because
go
that's
on.
what we are. That's what we are. And yeah, there's going to be all these people who are going to say, why don't we know? We do know. It was in the Quran. Nobody bothered to read it because we thought, oh, it's from these people in the deserts. The Quran came from somewhere in Europe, not from these people in the desert and things like that. Even the Arabic dictionary is a fraud. All these Islamists are trying to preach with their Quran, saying this is the meaning. It's a simple book. Yeah, you could just go to any mosque and ask anyone. Yeah, and forget all the religious and the superstitious things that Islamists and Quranists are going to tell you. think of the science and the history from there. And if you want the cross, you keep it. Don't listen to anybody. Yes, I'm telling you, because for me, the cross is a beautiful symbol. I've never said it so openly and clearly. It's because now I've realized, yeah, there's Christian, Islamist and Quranist preachers in the comment section, and it's upsetting many people in Europe and America. Yeah, I mean, stop forcing being aggressive in your preaching. Say it nicely. Yeah, I'm sure all you guys have noticed it. And the thing is, it's because my work is about history. I don't want to pose it with, religious, garbage that some Quranists or Islamists are preaching. Yeah, we all know what Islam is. We all know what Christianity is. And we all know there's different ways to God and different versions of Christianity and Islam. Let people understand their own ways, and it's not communism. Some people are not going to become Muslim or Christian. People want their own ways. Some people have their spiritual ways. If you want to be a spiritualist, so be it. But most spiritualists are nice. They don't force their way. Yes, but I've noticed many of these evangelists, they try to force it, and they give a bad name to evangelical Christianity, which is a beautiful thing. Same like the Quranists give a bad name to Islam. Islam is a beautiful religion, but these, fundamentalists and crazy Christians and people like that, they give everybody else a bad name. Ignore that and study the history and the science within them, and then, hopefully, if you wanted to know something, you'll find it. And yeah, and my book, Science of the Kaaba, goes through the science of the cross when it's in the form of a cube and what is really going on in Islam. Islam is not what you think it is. It is not what you think it is. It's something else to do with the entire history that I found, and I've explained it in that book. Yes. Any questions, everybody? And then we'll leave it at that.
I think this is good.
Nope.
We should definitely do this again soon. Thank you so
So
much,
we
David.
had one particular question to bring up in the chat, which is you talked about the children of Israel and the Adamites. Would they be considered the same group and just different names, or is there a differentiation between them?
Right. They were here before. Yes, the Adamites, the children of Israel, and the Noahites or the Nephites in the Book of Mormon. It's like there is going to be Muslims there, yeah, who are going to turn around and say, "Oh, I don't want to hear it about the history of the Bible or the Book of Mormon." Yeah, there was some idiots commenting like that. We want religion. I'm sorry, Islamic or whatever agenda. Yeah, I'm speaking up openly because some people think I'm preaching. No, the book of Mormon, it talks about Nephi or the book of Noah, yes, and the descendants of Noah and many of these other people, those people who came. It's like we didn't get to it, so we'll have to do another video.
Right.
But what you'll notice is somewhere amongst other pictures is a population graph. Have you found it? If you want, you could share that picture right. It's in blue, image 74. Yes, it says image then 74 in brackets. And if you find it, share it. And you'll see the population of the world didn't go up until mysteriously around 1453, when this guy called Sultan Mohammed invaded over there in the Vatican. Now, they must have had birth control, and then all the other people were like animals outside the city walls. People were scared of them. They were animals. They were naked, living in the mud, and eating each other and things like this. Yes, so the population suddenly went up, and things like this, new arrivals. Population graph. It's in blue color, United Nations population graph. You'll find it, yeah, somewhere as you go further up there. But we'll go through it another time because we don't have enough time here now. So it's clear that the new arrivals came, and before then, the world's population was constant. Yes, and it looked like a constant established history, and they were fighting each other between the side of Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. They're from the same family. Yeah, this is what the evidence shows from Professor Fomenko's work and my work, and everybody has found. And Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad were from the same family. They were just different leaders. Yeah, and Jesus Christ, yes, he was known as the Word of God, as well as known as the Messiah. Muhammad was known as the Messenger of God, and Moses was known as the prophets of God. So they each had their functions, and the thing is, they each did their own great things. And our world today has been shaped because of these three people, actually. And this is what I found in history. Yes, and in the same way Professor Flamenco found it. But let's leave it at that. No more questions. Any comments from any of you guys? You could say it, and then let's call it a day.
Thank you very much, David. This has been a long time coming. I hope everyone can appreciate the information you are sharing, make up their own mind, make up their own heart, and yeah, succeed, whatever this may mean for them. And yeah, together we'll find out how the story continues. Thank you, and also thank you so much, Andreas and Nachiketa, for joining and hosting as well.
Yes, thank you
you,
to
guys.
you all. Thank you.
Then I'd say this is it. Andreas, you want to carry us out? Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining and watching and chatting and commenting.
David and Andreas.